Ain't you glad you found me? Tease, squeeze, a loving and woo.
That was kind of a weak clap from me. I don't even know if that got picked up. Let's do it again. Let's do it again, though. Okay, let's do it again. 35 seconds. 35 seconds, all right?
Just clap and scream when it hits.
We're good then, I guess. Lorelei, if you want to bring us in, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe I should have the Twitch open. I mean, I have the chat, but I don't have the Twitch.
Hurt my hand.
I don't know. So I don't know if we're. Oh, we are live. Okay, fantastic. There we are. Hello, everybody.
Hello, greetings.
Hello.
That's
good.
Hello, folks. Hello, folks. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna turn that off because I don't want to hear myself. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Gamesline podcast. We're doing this live. I think this is the first time I've done a live podcast. I don't know. The rest of the times I've said no because I didn't really want to do it. But I figured, why not this time? We're going to do it. We're going to talk on the internet about video games. It's me, John, the host, the editor-in-chief of Gamesline. There's probably a good amount of you here who aren't familiar with the site per se. Lorelei, if you could turn us up a little bit, please. Maybe if that's something you can do. Yes, I'm John. I am the editor-in-chief of Gamesline. I've been doing this for like 12 years now. It's been an event, I will say. But this week's episode here is what we're going to be doing is we're going to be introducing the four new contributors to Gamesline. So these are all brand new folks. You know, we've done our introduction posts. If you're a Gamesline regular, you know, maybe you might have seen some of them around. But there's also a good chance that you don't know anything about these people. That's what we're trying to amend right now. So I'm going to try to introduce folks. We'll try to go a little bit further into who everyone is as we go along. But, you know, that's how it is. So first off, I do want to give a shout out to our producer in the background here is Lorelei. You've heard her on the podcast. She's been editing it for a good long while. And she's running the show right now, pretty much, you know, making all the movements happen and keeping our audio levels in check and all that. So thank you, Lorelei, again, for all the hard work that you're doing.
Thank you, Lorelei.
Thank you, Lorelei.
Thank you.
And yes, thank you. And so now I'm going to try to introduce everybody. This is kind of new for me, so I apologize if I'm a little all over the place. I guess we could get started, or do we want to do it like maybe alphabetical order? We could do that, or you all can just scream at each other until someone decides who wants to go first. We can figure that out. You know,
do alphabetical. Let's just keep this organized as possible.
Of course. All right. Then we'll start off with Crystal. Crystal, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm the bird-in-chief of Gamesline. Yeah, I'm doing well. What were you saying?
Oh, is that going to be the new thing that we have to check out, and we have to make that a title here, I guess, like a new bird. What does the bird-in-chief do for Gamesline? That's different from the average contributor. Like, do you build a nest for us to all huddle in when it's cold, or something like that?
Oh, like fly. I really like to flaunt that because it's something humans literally can't do.
Can't do it.
Like to eat seed, maybe a snake now and then.
Okay. So we don't have to worry about any snakes coming into our territory or anything like that. You know, you'll do that. Like, oh man, your avatar here is a secretary bird, right? And those things, oh my god, they love to kick the shit out of a snake.
Especially for the amusements of an audience.
Yeah, so we can maybe set that up. You know, we'll figure that out. Make sure that we're all nice and safe from any reptilians. But for real, tell us a little bit about yourself. You have a good amount of experience in the podcasting sector. So, tell the folks what you've done in the past and what kind of games you like.
So I first got started in podcasting with a now decade-old podcast called Let's Place, in which we would go to mobygames.com, hit the random button 5 times, and then rank those games against each other. And every episode, we would add 5 more games until we built a list of like over 500 games. And that got me into the habit of just finding random old games and like looking through their manuals and the old reviews. And that's something that I still like doing to this day. In my intro post, I kind of presented myself as some kind of historical adventurer. And I guess that is the niche I will be filling until I decide to change it to something else.
It's absolutely welcome. I'm someone who cares a lot about game history. That's something that a lot of folks here care about. We want to not just talk about why games exist because of the market and the tastes of the time, but also the people who make them and all that sort of stuff. So that's good. Good to know that you are on the pulse of that. But what do you like to play, I suppose, is the question here. What interests you the most?
Um, uh, it changes so much. I like to follow my fleeting whims. I had like a shmup phase recently where I just played a
Good
bunch of
phase.
old shmups because I've never really tried that genre before, and it was very edifying to become more familiar with it. Right now, I would say I'm in a PS2 generation phase. I like playing
Good phase.
games made from 2000 to 2005.
That's a great phase. What's something that you're playing right now, I guess? We'll get into more of that, but like what's one thing that you want to just kind of highlight that's the big thing that you're playing currently?
Ridge Racer for the
That's a good one.
PSP. You know what? Kaz was right. That game is awesome.
Use it to like look behind you or whatever, like with the
What?
I don't know. That was something that they were advertising for, I think, like the PS3 or version of Ridge Racer. It was like you can hook up your PSP and you can use it as a like a mirror, like a back facing mirror. I remember that. I think that was in like the infamous PS3 E3 event. I'm
Oh
pretty
my
sure he talked
god.
about that, which is pretty
That
funny.
sounds so inconvenient to set up
Ain't
for
it?
no game.
Yeah. Um all right. Next up we can talk to Jackson. Jackson, how are you today?
What's good, John? How you doing? I'm doing all right.
Doing great because we're podcast and we're hanging out. Same question here. What have you done before this, and what kind of games do you like?
So prior to this, I've been in the game industry for a little bit now. So I did QA, and then it went up from QA to marketing, and now product management and like just the life cycle of games and whatnot.
Sure.
And then that sprang from me doing streams. So some people may recognize me and then on screen right now. I will point this out because we pointed it out before we started recording. John's surrounded by a bunch of people using PNGs and images, so we're in like a Roger Rabbit situation right now. But
It's all
no,
good.
I've been involved with games for a while, and then before jumping in and putting my hat in the ring for Gamesline, I've been on the site since 2022 when I became really close friends with one of the other staff on board, Maverick, and they were linking me their articles and whatnot, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I want to get into this. And then I saw the opportunity, so I was like, oh, sick. Let's do it.
And we were happy to see you. Yeah.
I appreciate it. For games, lately, I've been getting more into visual novels because I think I've played too many just like action beat 'em up games that I'm like, let's take a minute and sit back and actually digest stories and whatnot. But then Switch 2 came out, and now I'm back to action games, and I'm playing like Bravely Default HD remaster and whatnot for the first time. So it flip flops depending on my mood. Like I'm in the visual novel phase, but going back into the more intensive JRPG phase.
Cool. I mean, we'll talk about Switch 2 in a little bit because you are not alone in owning the Nintendo Switch 2 console. All right. Anything else that you want to shout out, or any specific things that you'd like to highlight about you that you think people should know about you?
I guess I'm kind of we did a big charity tournament 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now. Raised a lot of money for a good cause, so I guess I'm involved with the FGC, a lot of fighting game stuffs, and I'm partnered with Capcom. So if you see a lot of Capcom stuff going around, like any social media posts and whatnot, I probably had my hand in it. So just like seeing the announcement for like, oh, our RE Requiem came out. Like, yep, nope, I put that media package together. That was me.
There you go. Nice. Yeah, we'll just to be open and in for everything. As a press as part of the media, we do want to make sure that there isn't any kind of like overlap with that kind of stuff. So that is something that we take seriously. We're not going to be like given any kind of extra attention to any stuff that Jackson has a hand in helping do media stuff for. But also, we've talked about it previously, and Jackson was just like that wouldn't have been expected no matter what. Like it's fine. We can talk all the we don't have to talk trash, but we can just cover stuff. We can be normal about everything because that's what we want to do. We just want to be normal about it. We want to talk about games, and that's what's important to us. So, I know that us just being like, oh, we promise, it doesn't mean too much, but we're just we're nothing's gonna be changing in the back end. It's gonna be the same old. I guess because I did kind of ask Jackson to highlight one thing real quick. I will hop back at you, Crystal. Just, is there anything specific that you want people to know about you besides your games taste and all that?
I do a bunch of other podcasts. I guess I can mention those.
You can, yeah, go ahead.
I am on the Eidolon Playtest actual play podcast. A couple of friends of mine made their own TTRPG, and we've been playtesting and its sequel and its expansion for 5 years now. That's a lot of fun. I'm on the Book of Medora podcast, which is currently doing a project to play through every numbered Final Fantasy game. Just got done with Final Fantasy VIII. Excited to continue that one. I'm on a podcast called MCU Complete Me, which has long since stopped doing Marvel movies and is now doing a Will Smith project where we watch 7 Will Smith movies. And I'm on a podcast called Three Grown-Ups, where we're gonna watch through every movie that Adam Sandler has starred in.
All right, interesting. But yeah, no, that's cool to hear. We'll absolutely give you all the shout outs and all that once you're whenever you got something going on. Synergy. That's what we want. We'll work together. All right, next up, Lilith. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. I have been preparing for this podcast all day, so hopefully I won't embarrass myself too badly.
I don't think you will. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about, whatever you think is cool about you, and also your game's interests in history.
So I think compared to everyone else here, I might be like the unproven novice. John actually found me out back wandering in the woods, so he decided he'd give me a shot writing for Gamesline. But in seriousness, I'm actually a independent writer. I ended up doing I'm also in the TTRPG space, so I've been writing my own settings for that for the past year or so, and I've always kind of had a fascination for games media, games preservation, especially things like that, and I've always kind of had a kind of desire to see video games in a specific way as like how they reflect back on you in terms of, you know, how you preserve that kind of media within yourself even. As for my own games tastes, honestly, with things like I had in my intro post, I will be like one of those insufferable, like, I listen to everything, like music enjoyers, but I do genuinely do that with video games. I will allow anything to impress me, but the things that really got me started, I was a very young girl when I got into video games, and I had the privilege of having 6 uncles. So I unfortunately was possessed of the media taste of 6 teenage boys simultaneously, which is why I am the way I am. So lots of first-person shooters, lots of JRPGs. That's kind of like my wheelhouse, and I've also been kind of into TTRPGs for the past 10 years now. So that's kind of the things that I'm into.
Okay. What about recently? What's been on your plate?
Well, I have kind of personally signed myself up for a purgatory of playing a bunch of incredibly long video games all at the same time.
I think that's just how it is.
We can get into the specifics of that later, but I will throw out one example is I've been playing Dragon Quest XI since November of last year, and I don't think I'm anywhere closer to the end because I play games at a snail's pace, but I have also decided to play a bunch of other things at once, but we can get to that later.
Yeah, we could touch upon that later. And then any last fun factoids or anything you think the folks at home should know about you?
Well, I previously had some experience with being a Twitch streamer, but that identity is secret to all of us now. So if you can identify me, you're on notice.
I don't think we gotta. We won't go digging. You know, don't worry about that. You're here now, and that's what we're happy about.
Wonderful to be here.
Yes, it absolutely is. And Nikolas, hello. How are you today?
Hello.
Oh, it's nice to finally be able to talk.
Yeah,
So-
sorry. I didn't mean to. You know, maybe we'll do
worry
reverse
about
alphabetical next time if that's
Don't worry about it.
All right. But please, what interests you and what kind of games do you like?
See, unfortunately, compared to everyone else here, I don't do anything. I don't have like any official writing, podcasting experience or whatever. If I do anything, it's like for my friends specifically. My experience in games, I used to be one of those like guys with a Mario avatar who was named like Super Nintendo Johnson 1234 when I was a kid, all the way until like, I think early high school.
So you were like the
So-
Mario monks, you know, like you were
Yeah.
out there fighting the good fight, you know.
Not a good fight.
saying-
Not a good fight. Not really even a fight, honestly. I did not start consistently using the internet till like I think middle school. But before that, like my dumb YouTube for when I was a little baby, it was plastered all over in that one cool Mario render where he's like holding the tip of his cap down. It's like angled downwards.
right.
I was one of those kids. My experience with games now is mostly just trying to find whatever I can play and making them too. I like doing a lot of the different requirements for making, like programming, modeling, texturing, animating, rigging, designing, all that sort of stuff. I think it's fun. It's not anything I do professionally, and I'd probably die if I tried doing it that way. But I very much like doing it just because, you know, it's a good hobby. It's good to learn to do that kind of thing and use it as an artistic outlet. And I really like having that outlet in comparison to some of the other ones I do. Though I do like more traditional stuff. Like I like drawing pictures of fictional characters. That's fun. As you could probably see on my Blue Sky account, which is unfortunately linked probably somewhere on the website.
I mean, I don't know if it is, but it can be.
I feel bad for anyone who goes on the website and then goes like, "Oh, cool, this guy has an account," and then gets flash banged by the average thing that I draw.
It's fine. It's fine. It's
Whoa.
fine.
Whoa, that mithril looks weirdly proportionate. Anyway, my favorite games are, I think I said this in the intro, but I really like I like tactics RPGs, I like platformers, I like visual novels. I don't really have a whole lot of adherence to genre though, because
Mhm.
I like just playing anything that sounds interesting to me. Because a lot of my favorite games are ones that I play just because I thought it'd be funny or I thought it'd be weird. Like Xenoblade 2, one of my favorite games ever. Played that because I thought it'd be funny. Umineko, one of my favorite games ever. Played that because I thought the sprites were funny. That sort of thing. So it's like, I don't know. I don't have really any consistency to the kinds of games I play, but I think that's fun. I think it's fun to try experiencing a whole bunch of different stuff, even if I've found a couple genres that I ultimately like a lot, you know? You gotta keep your tastes open after being so long being Nintendo Nerval.
No, totally. I mean, I think it's just smart to have varied taste, and it sounds like that's what you got. So, I'm not worried about that, I would say. Then what's something else that you want people to know about you? What's a fun factoid, I suppose?
Oh man, I do not have anything fun about. I
But you
like,
mentioned that you do art. I think that's
yeah.
that's impressive as it is. Like that's a lot. That's a lot of effort for something that is time consuming and all that and all that. Like I highly respect anybody who does art of any kind.
I like 3D modeling PS1, PS2 style character. Not either of them too high poly for PS1, too low for PS2, but it's fun. It's fun. Not Dreamcast. Dreamcast models are too smooth. Might just be me thinking of Blue Stinger.
Mhm.
But yeah, not much to say. All I do is play and make video games, and that's what I'm here for. That's what we're all here for.
That's what we're here for. All right. Well, I am glad that we're all here now. I hope that was a good introduction for all of you in chat and all that, and you listening at home. Because we're gonna get into the news. We're just gonna get right into it. We'll talk a little bit about what we've been playing. I don't want to make this be a 5 hour long podcast. We have stuff to do. We have lives, even though that sounds crazy to say.
You guys have
Um,
lives?
I know what. Um, but we've got 3 or 4 big streams because this is E3. Stuff got announced. This is the event of all of that sort of spiel here. Um, so I guess we could kind of just do it in order here. We've got the state of play that Sony did, and then there was the Jeff Keighley Summer Games Fest event. And then there was also another stream, which I'm not gonna talk too much about because we don't want to highlight something that is on the BDS boycott list, but we might grab some stuff from that list, So obviously, our website is a pro-Palestine endeavor. Hopefully, folks are aware of that. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
beat around the bush. But they announced a Persona 4 remake. I think that's something we gotta kind of mention. It's fucking like okay. So we can start off with the state of play here. If I don't want to just go beat by beat because again, that'll take a million years. Um, is there anything in particular that you would like to discuss from the state of play? I guess I'll go person by person. We'll go reverse alphabetical this time. Nikolas, is there anything that was announced at the state of play that particularly interested you?
The Final Fantasy Tactics remake looks like they like smeared it with their thumb for the new visuals. That's about it. I All
yeah.
these presentations have been like someone says something funny in a Discord channel, and then I hop in, and then it's on like another Souls-like looking game, and then I just hop out. Like I heard someone said they're announcing Doki Doki Literature Club meet Silent Hill, and I jumped in and I saw something that looked like every other game, and I jumped out. It's mean to say it looks like every other game. These games have their own.
It does though. It kind of does.
I shouldn't put down so much right off the bat. That's not nice.
You kind of look. You can do whatever you want here. This is a safe space to talk shit.
I will put down about DDLC meet Silent Hill though. That was very funny.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
really watch these a whole lot because it's like I'm not a guy who's like, yo, holy shit, check this out. They revealed this game. I don't like scream at reveals or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's nice to see that one of the games that people have been saying is going to happen for like 5 years, it's finally happening. I still don't believe Final Fantasy IX remake is happening though. That's like the Switch getting, holy shit, they're making Twilight Princess HD for Switch. Like, no, if it happens, I'll eat my slippers or something. That's not happening.
I mean, I feel like that's already such a big undertaking when they're already doing all of the stuff around Final Fantasy VII, and obviously, you know, a place like Square Enix has the manpower to handle teams like that, but you are at that point kind of ending up in the same position as Square Enix in the 90s, where you're putting out so many games, you are unintentionally competing with yourself at that point.
Yeah. So Lorelei, if you could you bring up that Final Fantasy Tactics trailer? Because you mentioned the graphics, and I want to kind of show that off and like look at it. Because you said that it looks real blurry or like smeared with your thumb, like you went.
Yes. It's like that one SNES filter for the emulators that like it's like Pasafia Gaming or something uses it for all their videos, and it looks so bad because it's like trying to look like hand drawn or something, but it's not because it's so obviously just a stupid filter that makes everything look awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the very least, they did say that they are going to have the original in there. So we don't have to worry too much about that. I guess they said that they're going to use the War of the Lions script, which is neat. But I mean, I don't know. I haven't played Final Fantasy Tactics. I'm not really a tactics guy.
I mean, I think like one of the big issues where like the contention lies between the original translation and the new translation is that I think this kind of relates back to like the early days of stuff like Final Fantasy XIV, where they were trying to heavily lean into like the erstwhile Shakespeareanism of things like, you know, Final Fantasy XII and Vagrant Story. But when you get to the point where you're kind of trying to constrain what is ostensibly like a political thriller plot to like iambic pentameter, like the original game had a lot of clumsy writing. I can admit to that, but it also had a bunch of wonderful lines that I kind of wish weren't tampered with, and it kind of bums me out that the War of the Lions translation has kind of become the de facto official translation.
Jackson and Crystal, do either of you have opinions about Final Fantasy Tactics or?
Yeah, I'm looking at these sprites. They do look a bit ass, don't they?
It was like a slap in the face, honestly, when I was watching, just because like I was waiting for FF9 and they're like, oh, we're remaking Tactics, and I'm like, okay, cool, good for Tactics fans. And then they showed the pixel smoothing and how the gameplay works with the camera like swinging from the fixed perspective over like on top to the RTS gameplay, and it's just like, I don't know. And then they showed the visual comparisons of like you can play in classic mode, like the old Tactics game, and that's when the pixels were totally preserved. And it's like, or you could play this new style where the pixels are smoothed out and it looks like you're watching this through water. like something happened and I have no idea. But like it's interesting too because they released the English cast for the game, and
yeah, it's gonna have full voice acting.
Yeah. There's voice acting in my Tactics game, and Ben stars in another Final Fantasy game. So I'm like, okay. So
I can't
I
get
don't
too
know.
mad. Like they got a big hunk to be excited about Final Fantasy. I would be putting him in whatever I could too. You know, he seems like a chill
Poster
dude.
child.
Yeah. So, you know, I would say that's he's just out there just being like, hey, I'll do whatever the fuck. I saw that I think he's doing like the forward for that YouTube channel, that Final Fantasy YouTube channel. They're doing like a book about all the summons. He's just gonna do the forward for that. Like, dude just loves Final Fantasy. Sure. All right, there you go. Okay.
It's interesting. He had an interview, I think like a year ago with Jennifer English, and they were talking about their favorite games and whatnot, games that they need to play. And Ben Starr was just going on about how like, yeah, no, I know I look like this, but in every like RPG game I play, I'm like a magic user. Like I play in the backline, I use magic, and then all these characters I play are not magic users.
Yeah.
Just like dude loves Final Fantasy.
Totally. Yeah. Big respect. Big respect. All right. Lilith, do you want to talk about, is there anything from the state of play that you particularly were interested in? I gotta stop doing the fingers. I gotta stop doing that.
No, it's fine. I know that as I was watching through it, I kind of had that similar experience where I felt like I was just like sleepwalking through the event, and every time I came to, it was another game with like the same kind of like Soulsian combat. And I mean, like, again, I'm a huge Lies of P fan. I enjoyed playing through that. I'm really excited to finally
Well,
get
that
like
was at
stuck
a
in.
Summer Games Fest. That was
Yeah, I know. I'm mostly
okay.
just saying, like, I clearly enjoy that kind of content, but then you kind of have these games coming out, especially with, you know, the state of play, where it is kind of trying to do like that same kind of. I mean, again, every console generation kind of has like a game that defines the format, and especially with games budgets increasing the way they are, you're going to have that kind of thing. I mean, if I had to dig through something, I think that, you know, all of the stuff around Bloodstained is super cool. I played through the demo of Cairn, and if you're into like the aspects around you know, the climbing gameplay, it's there was another game that came out that is comparable to it, which is Jusant. And if you were kind of put off by how simple that is, this game is way more in depth. That's pretty exciting. I won't repeat too much about Final Fantasy Tactics, but I will say, like, you named it the Ivalice Chronicles, and it's one game, guys. Come on. And I also thought one of the smaller games that like zipped by real fast, I thought Hirogami looked super cute. Like I really love action platformers, and I feel a little sad sometimes they've kind of gone on the back burner if your name isn't Mario. So I'm glad to have something else to play with in that sense.
All right. Jackson, what about yourself?
I will go through this list just because like this is my Christmas. Like these events are me sitting down in front of any kind of screen where I can watch this event and be like, "Oh boy, I can't wait." We talked about tactics. We mentioned Hirogami, which is interesting because I think it's the first, or it's listed on Steam. I don't know if they've done any other games. Bandai Namco Singapore. I guess this is their first title out of Singapore, and it looks incredible. I thought it was a new Tearaway game, but then they kind of just showed more, and I was like, okay, I can get behind this. More from Ghost of Yotei, which like Ghost of Tsushima was such a really fun game that had a lot of that open world, just like repetitive issues that most open world games have, but I'm sure they'll refine it, and I'm eager to see the wolf gameplay because now we just get a wolf following us around. Ninja Gaiden from .emu in Tribute Games, continuing that series. Shout out all 10 of the Ninja Gaiden fans. I'm with you. There's 11 Ninja Gaiden fans now. Capcom showing Pragmata, which I don't think people realize is a Mega Man clone. Like, I don't think people were watching the trailer enough, where it's like this little android girl who is wearing blue and has a buster on her arm. Like, it's just a Mega Man game. The new Suda game, Romeo is a dead man.
Yeah.
We finally got clarification on who Deadman is, and then people finding out that the names of the characters like Romeo Stargazer and whatnot, like all the characters are in references to Gundams, and that's why he looks like that, because it's just a big love letter to Gundam. Silent Hill F was on my list just because I love the Silent Hill series up to 4, and I'm curious how they're gonna pull this off. I don't know what they're gonna do with like a non-adult horror psychological story set in 1960s Japan. I don't know what the message is or what they're trying to convey there, but it should be interesting. Sword of the Sea, I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I saw of it, but like I'm a big Journey head, so seeing Sword of the Sea, I was like, okay, there's more journey to this, but then you get the actual like surfing gameplay. So the enhanced movement abilities in a journey like feels really good. I want to play that like right now. I've been doing the rounds, and I'm like, hey, if you have connections to this game, please let me do press for it. Please let me see what's going on with this. And then last but not least, the Marvel token Fighting Souls, which to me was like, yeah, 2019, PlayStation was shopping around for a new studio to talk about doing Marvel stuff, and they went to the one studio that was like, "Hey, we know you have the charisma, we know you have the style. Can you make this into the best thing possible?" And I screamed. I lost my voice for a little bit when I saw it. I'm the guy. I'm the guy that watches these and screams and freaks out. That I'm the person on the team that will do that. Just because it's just like out of left field, and it doesn't mean anything for the Capcom relationship. It just means, oh boy, 2 cakes at some point. Like,
yeah, like it's definitely something where at first blush you're like, oh boy, now does this mean that we're never gonna get another Marvel versus game? But like yeah, like I would feel that way if we didn't just get that retro collection. Like there is still a relationship there. So I don't think it's impossible for 2 Marvel games to exist at the same time. If it does happen, like I don't know if there is going to be another MVC exactly, but yeah, I think there's still a chance. And then even if not, like the fact that all of the games are still available, like the fact that you can play any of the old Marvel vs. Capcoms now, like, all of those games are great. And then even the one that people don't like has that mod now that makes it really good. So, it's yeah, I don't we're not exactly without MVC. And
no.
yeah,
And
that's
like,
okay.
yeah, and like it's a weird situation where it's just like, oh, I think Marvel is wising up and realizing that like, oh, my early 2000s era of games where we were just pumping out as many games as possible and they kept hitting hard. We should go back to that thinking, because like they're shopping around. Like, I think NetEase's usage of the IP really was the thing that opened the door to them to be like, just let developers go crazy. Let developers do what they want and put their passion into their craft using your IP. And that way people are like, oh my goodness, I have all this Marvel stuff. If I don't even want to like, oh, I don't like Marvel shooter. I don't like hero shooter games. At least I have a Marvel fighting game. Oh, I don't like fighting games. At least I have a top down RTS Marvel game to play. Like I can play with my toys in whatever way I want now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there are some weird things with like EA and all that, with them shutting down that Black Panther game, but I will say that feels more like an issue with EA than with anything that Marvel's doing per se. Like, you're telling me that the people that are having problems with making a Black Panther game, which seems like that would be a pretty easy slam dunk, is EA. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, and also it sucks, but that makes sense that EA can't thread that needle. Crystal, how about yourself? I know we're not doing it in alphabetical order now because I skipped over myself. I'll do it last. But Crystal, is there anything about the state of play that you are interested in? Which it's okay if not, but what's up?
Scrolling through this PlayStation blog post, I can't say that anything is truly calling out to me. However, I do have to laugh that they're making a Luminous game that looks like Tetris Effect, and they're making a Sea of Remnants pirate game that looks like Sea of Thieves. It's like, man, the cannibalism of the industry is real.
So at the very least, I will say that Luminez game is by the Tetris Effect people.
I would love if the Tetris Effect people didn't make the same game 3 times in a row.
Fair. I mean, I know a lot of people that were like, "Oh my god, this is like exactly what I wanted. It's in VR and it's the Tetris Effect people," but I understand. And then what was the? Oh yeah, that Sea of Thieves thing. I'm gonna be honest. I thought that was like some kind of weird Monkey Island thing, like all the characters kind of being pirates, or by being pirates and also being like kind of marionette looking. I thought they were gonna be like, oh hey, there's a 3D action adventure Monkey Island, and then it wasn't. It was just this, and it's like a free to play adventure thing. I don't know. It's whatever.
Turn-based RPG gotcha game.
Yeah, like
Oh,
we'll
I
see.
need another open world game where I can crouch and do stealth takedowns and maybe like shoot an enemy. I just don't have enough of those.
Sometimes that hits, but only
Perhaps
sometimes.
I should climb a tower around now.
Yeah. All right, then. As for John, I there's some stuff on here that I definitely am looking forward to. That was mentioned previously. Like I love Metroidvania, so New Bloodstained is cool. Hiragami does look really neat. I might be interested in the Marvel fighting game. I don't know. I've kind of been falling a little bit out of fighting games, but I might get back into it. Would never say never. I do like the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. I'm not a Mortal Kombat guy. I'm just a video games preservation guy. So anytime that Digital Clips does something, I'm just happy about that. And this looks like a cool collection for sure. But the number one thing that I'm going yeah about is, of course, Digimon Time Stranger. It's got a release date, October 3rd. And I'm gonna eat that up. Num 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 my tum. I've become a big Digimon head recently. Been playing the TCG and everything. So pretty excited about it.
So you got into gambling, and then you're like, you know what? This IP from this thing I'm gambling with is actually pretty interesting.
I'm not gambling with it. I'm buying the cards outright most of the time.
Okay, you're buying
so-
singles. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I'm buying singles for the decks that I want, and then sometimes I'll buy a pack for the fun of it. But I'm not being like, oh, I need to buy a box so I can get this card. Like, no.
You're
That
not
is
out
not
here. You're not out here opening CS:GO crates.
exactly like it's like if you're buying boxes in order to get specific cards, don't do that. Do not do that. Buy singles, and then it's fun to open some packs sometimes. Like as long as you're doing it in a healthy way, where it's just because like I usually do it when I'm coming home from therapy. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna buy like 3 packs, crack them open. If it's anything cool, there you go. If not, I'm not too upset because the nice thing is actually the locals that I have been going to recently has like a community chest where it's just like, hey, whatever you don't want, you can just leave it there. And so all the like chaff or the cards that I don't need, I'm just gonna leave them there. If they're not worth any money, maybe someone might need it for their deck. Because that's the nice thing about the Digimon TCG is that like the commons and stuff are still used in a lot of the decks. So people will need those cards if they're trying to build specific decks. So me, putting them in the community chest will actually be useful. And it's not just dumping, useless cards onto nobody. Like, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like 80 to 90% of the cards are just bad and might as well just be garbage. But yeah, Time Stranger, very excited. Very excited. I gotta finish. I gotta go through Hacker's Memory before that comes out. Which, I will absolutely do so. All right. Do we want to just hop right over to the Summer Games Fest, Keely's big show? Do we want to talk about Keely's big show here, or
Yeah, there's
Is there-
some stuff in there that you could pick out from his big PowerPoint.
yeah? Here, I'll just kind of try to randomly choose somebody here. We could start out with you, Lilith. How did you feel about the Summer Games Fest, and what were some things that you were interested in, or that you were particularly like, man, fuck this. Like, we could do that too. You know, don't feel afraid to be like, because
I mean, if I could indulge in my bleakest like haterism, I would say like I kind of involuntarily eye rolled at like I have to like double check just to make sure I'm even getting the name right. Chronicles Medieval. Like
yeah,
I did not see like a single thing about it. Like because again, it was very much that kind of experience of I like blacked out and I came to and I couldn't tell that we were on a different game. And it's like if I could indulge in that, you know, I can also extend
Please.
to, you know, the stuff around the cube. Okay, so I am like the foremost enjoyer of like the boomer shooter retro revival. When I look
Yeah.
at things like the cube and I kind of see like these kinds of art directed games where it's like don't get me wrong, a lot of the Unreal Engine like 5 super like, you know, effects driven games are super cool. We also kind of end up in this situation where every single one of these games looks the exact same. They take like a big grab bag of all of like the guaranteed successful game mechanics. You have like the wall running and the sliding from Titanfall and Apex, and you have all of these other things where it's like you kind of have these situations where you have these kind of descents into genericism. And if I was going to say something like looked especially interesting to me, I mean, obviously, I talked earlier about Lies of P. I actually got to see a friend playing it a bit earlier today, with the DLC, and like again, I'm not immune to like the yum yum or Souls like instinct, and I think that is particularly interesting, especially because they're actually doing like synergies with these mechanics from all of these disparate games.
Mhm.
I'll be completely honest with you. I completely forgot that Dying Light had a sequel, and now we're on a third one.
Isn't it just like a standalone expansion kind of thing? I don't think it's like a full game. Yeah. It says it's a quote standalone stories. Yeah, it's just like one of those expansion things. Whatever though.
It's a
Right.
spinoff.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're selling it to me, you know, like I can't imagine what that the price point will be, you know, below a standard price for something like that.
Mm-hmm.
With the things around, like I know like there has been some kind of aspects around it that have been preserved. I think the Scott Pilgrim, like the new beat 'em up, is kind of cool, even if I probably won't touch it myself. But Stranger Than Heaven looks really really cool, and I typically am not like super immersed in that studio's like works. Like I know, you know, everyone loves Yakuza and stuff, but that looks like something that might be like straight up my alley with like the aesthetics and everything and what they're doing with the characters.
Yeah, and they're doing like a more like historical fiction type thing.
And I mean, like I know that's not new for them, but this in particular, like that specific era, looks super cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's not new per se, but you know, the other ones that they did were just Kiryu as those characters or as those people.
Mhm.
You know, like yeah, so it was still basically a like a Dragon slash Yakuza game, but this one is no, this is a guy. This is a completely separate guy. I mean, I don't know. Maybe at the end of it, he's just gonna like rip off his mask and be like, "Hello, I'm Kiryu. I've been Kiryu the whole time." But no, this seems like a bit more straight line focused on being a historical fiction tale that isn't like leaning on previous characters and all that.
Mhm.
Um
That, and if I
I
can go, oh, go ahead.
oh yes, no, go ahead.
Uh, One last thing I'll say is that while a lot of like the prior complaints about FPS direction, Ill's like gore physics do kind of trigger the sicko in my brain. I think that looks really cool.
There's something to that. There's definitely something to that. I guess because I kind of feel like this is something that a lot of us are going to bring up, so I'll just say we could just talk about RE9 because they closed out the show with Resident Evil 9. One of the weirder announcements that I've seen, because they had little teaser things sprinkled through. It was the woman who did the voice acting for Lady Dimitrescu, just kind of coming up and being like, "Oh, hey, it's Resident Evil's 30th anniversary next year. Why don't you buy those games because they're all on sale?" And then they had a little like teaser thing from the director or like one of the like leads on the franchise that was like, "Well, we're gonna probably be announcing something soon. It'll be sooner than you think." And then they announced Resident Evil 9 right at the end. Like, it was just very bizarre how they were just like, "Hey, just wait a little bit longer." And it's like, yeah, we waited like 20 minutes. Okay. Like,
He didn't lie.
It was a great thing.
Yeah, didn't lie.
no lie.
The announcement before the major trailer, there were sprinkles of stuff in between because like they had Maggie Robertson come out, like
Yes.
the voice actress for Lady D, and then they had, like you said, one of the leads for Resident Evil 9. If you notice, in between a lot of the stuff, like they're showing a lot of imagery from RE7, RE8, and specifically RE2.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh, okay, this is clearly gonna be a Raccoon City story whenever they talk about it, and then they do the trailer announcement, and it's just like, oh, by the way, yeah, no, you're playing as the daughter of the character from Resident Evil Outbreak.
Yeah, which is a crazy pull.
Yeah, and people are going like, what is Resident Evil Outbreak? And me sitting here like, oh, okay, so we're gonna finally close out all the bad stuff that's been happening in Raccoon City post-bombing, because like in canon, they still use that facility, so like there's a reason to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the only reason they're using Grace Ashsoft, which like, yeah, that's our new main character, quote unquote, I think they're trying to allude more towards closing out a lot of the stories with the older characters that were involved with Raccoon City. I think specifically they're probably going to talk about Leon and Carlos, but more so Carlos, because like in the trailer you have some of those some of those voice actors returning.
Okay.
And it's like, well, like the scene where it's like, oh, what are you talking about? You haven't seen the shit I've seen. It's like, that's the voice actor for Carlos from RE3.
Okay. I didn't know that, because I know that there's been some leaks going around about Leon being one of the player characters in this one. So that's interesting to know that that Carlos is also going to be involved. And I mean, that makes sense because, yeah, like it's going to be Raccoon City stuff. They're going to involve a lot of those players for sure. That makes sense. Like, I mean, maybe Jill will show up too, but I know that, I guess that depends on what they're doing with the canon now because of how things got updated. Like, if they're going to do like a Resident Evil 5 remake, how are they going to, bring back all that stuff with Jill and 5? I guess we'll see. I have no real knowledge about it, but I'm a big RE guy. I'm very excited for this one for sure. The last two have been incredible. All the remakes have been really good. All the originals are great too. There's very rarely a bad Resident Evil game. So I'm sure that 9 will be great.
I am a little interested because with the advent of like 7 and Village, they were doing a lot more of like the really, really in-depth like horror stuff again. Like, sorry, I don't want to actually just say random scenes, but the fact that Capcom is explicitly highlighting that they are going for a different tone kind of makes me think like maybe we're gonna have like a spiritual successor to like the 4s, 5s, and 6s, which seems interesting because it seems like they tried to get away from that and now they're trailing back there again.
Yeah, that definitely seems interesting.
It is also interesting to me that after the Ethan Winters duology tried to kind of make a break from all the built-up lore, they are diving really hard back into it.
Something that people just want. Like there's, like when Chris Redfield showed up in 8, or when Chris Redfield shows up at the end of 7, like as a little like cameo thing, everyone was like, "What's his deal? What's going on with Chris?" And then he's in 8 a little bit, and everyone's just again asking, "What's going on with Chris? What's going on?" So I think that's kind of them just responding to the fans being like, "Okay, yeah, like it's like," and don't get me wrong, I do really like the Ethan Winters stuff, and I do really like that they were a little bit divorced from the old stuff, even though I do like a lot of that dumb lore. But at the same time, I think that people did want to circle back to that, and that makes sense to me, especially if they are also going to treat this as a sort of wrap-up point. Like, I could see them being like, okay, we're going to go back to Raccoon City to close the door on a lot of these characters, and then maybe Resident Evil 10 will be completely different, like brand new characters, not even touching all that stuff. Like, obviously Umbrella will be involved probably, but they're just going to be like, it's like Leon's not here, Chris isn't here, Jill's not here. None of those characters are going to be there. It's just going to be brand new characters, and I'm interested in that potentially. We'll see what happens. I would love to find out, I suppose.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, especially with something as expansive as like the Resident Evil franchise, that they're kind of just in this game. I don't want to say out of obligation, like I don't want to downplay it, but especially when you have things like fandom, you kind of have it by necessity. You either need to close a bunch of circles or you need to acknowledge that they are still in the same chronology.
Mhm.
And if they're kind of doing like these really in-depth, like deep pulls, I could absolutely see it as this being like the cutting of the canon where we're just saying all of that's behind us, now we can move on to a new thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I think they're doing. Okay. Let's see here, because we already spoke to you, Lily. Crystal, do you want to hit us with anything that you thought was interesting or that you want to particularly talk about from the Summer Game Fest?
My takeaway from the show was that the 2000s are back. It's Zillennial nostalgia time. There were 2 capture the flag focused games, and one of them was just like using one of those maps from Unreal Tournament. On top of
Yeah.
that, there was the Splitgate loser talking about like returning to
Yeah.
the greatness of FPS. Also the Atomic Heart trailers back to back was just a moment of like, this is the Spike Video Game Awards. These are the Maxim babes of video games type character designs.
It's so fucking bizarre. Like like obvious, like we try not to be prudes here at Gamesline.net, but it was fucking egregious. It was really bad. Like my genuine take here is I think that people see Nikke specifically and like Stellar Blade and they're chasing after that, but they're not realizing that the whole thing with Nikke is that up front it is very sexualized stuff, but it's almost like an anglerfish thing where it's just like, okay, now you've seen the ass, now come here and listen to these girls have problems. But then the Atomic Heart stuff is not that. It is just literally these are faceless robots that exist to be looked upon and gazed upon and not interacted with whatsoever beyond that.
Well, I mean,
And
it's like,
you know,
so whoever wants to go first.
No, you can talk.
Oh,
that's-
I was just gonna say, like, it's one of those things where it's like so weirdly sexual that it loops around again, where it's just like I can't even like pretend to be interested in it. Like, don't get me wrong, I can be excited by like a cartoon boob, but it's like one of those cases where I can't feel any kind of passion for this other than it just like jingling the keys for like the demographic of people who want some excuse to either outrage merchant or just talk about this kind of stuff in any way that's more exciting than it's kind of an FPS. It's a little like BioShock again.
Yeah.
As far as more aesthetic commentary, the Game of Thrones RTS trailer had that Netflix lighting where it's like too dark to see anything, but there's this one little orange light lighting people from the side. I thought that was funny.
That was
Um,
crazy. I don't know what the fuck is going on with that. And just the fact that it's a Game of Thrones thing in 2025. And, I know that there's Game of Thrones fans. I know that it's not like it's a completely dead franchise, but it just feels like such a thing that should be getting announced in like 10 years ago, not now.
Scrolling more through this list, Scott Pilgrim is again also part of the Zillennial nostalgia, and I was kind of surprised how much the Lies of P DLC did not do it for me because I really liked that game, but I think it was just a full meal for me, and I don't need to come back for seconds.
Okay.
That's about it.
Nicholas, what about you?
Stupid.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think you broke up
Back.
a little bit. Hello?
Go to the next guy. Go to the next guy.
Okay. It's all good. Okay, Jackson. Let's hear what did you think about the Summer Games Fest, the Keighley world premiere event
Oh,
of the summer?
I have a much smaller list for that one, so don't worry. I already talked about RE9. More Marvel Cosmic Invasion stuff, which I didn't think we were gonna get, but now we have She-Hulk and Rocket Raccoon in the game, which I popped off because I'm She-Hulk's #1 defender.
Hell yeah.
So I was like, oh, finally, more media for her. We're getting a Wu-Tang game.
We are.
We're getting a modern day Wu-Tang game, and like from what they've shown about it, I'm like, oh, I'm all in. Oh, Ghostface Killer needs you to go and get the rest of the clan. Yup, I'm in, sir. Yes, sir. I'm saluting. It just very odd. Like it was mentioned earlier, just like zillennial nostalgia bait, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not immune to propaganda. So, I expected more Onimusha Way of the Sword. I figured we were going to see more about that just because it seems like Capcom's trying to push this IP again. They're recognizing that a lot of their older IPs are still popular with people who have money, and they're like, oh, we should probably do something. Of the 500 people who on our survey were like, can you make a new Dino Crisis? Let's make Onimusha. I just completely avoid all that. Scott Pilgrim EX was a complete blindside just because I did not hear anything about this, because usually I have my ear to the ground, but Brian Lee O'Malley willing to get weirder and weirder with Scott Pilgrim, I appreciate. And also, I'm sure Ubisoft was like, yeah, we re-released your beat 'em up game based on your silly little movie. What else do you want? And
More.
And then they were like, okay, we'll go workshop it elsewhere. And again, another tribute game, picking up the slack on a lot of franchises that don't want to continue or do anything. And they're like, we'll do it. We'll pick it up. We love this franchise. We'll do something with it.
Sure.
RGG showing off Project Century, which is now stranger than heaven, and kind of weird how the first preview for that project, they were like, yeah, 1915 Japan. Now it's 1943 Japan, and I'm like, is the next trailer going to be like 1980s, like economic boom of Japan? What are we doing here? I'm a little hesitant, and our character speaking perfect English, perfect Japanese, blue eyes, bright blue eyes, staring at you in every promo, and willing to kill people. The first character that you play in a RGG game that is like, yeah, no, I want to kill people. I want them gone. So it's,
I mean, Fizz the North Star.
True. Yeah. But like, this is their own thing. It's not like an established character that's willing to kill. I'm like, they are writing a character who you can choose to kill people and smoke cigarettes and just get into fist fights.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't it's a weird direction, but I'm curious what they're gonna unveil more with it. But like no, and then everything else at the Summer Games Fest was pretty much just like Unreal Engine game. Yeah, not my forte. Splitgate 2 coming out, wherein I think I audibly went get off the stage. Like as soon as I saw him walk out with the hat, like it's recorded somewhere where me just going like, "Boo, get off the stage." Just like trying to make your game stand out from all these FPS games and be like, "Yeah, we're better. We're learning from past games." So sad Titanfall 3 isn't out. Anyway, check out this battle royale mode. It's like I don't think you're making any waves. I hope your game does well, and the people that worked on it clearly care about FPS games, but you're not doing them any favors by saying this stuff or doing this. I don't know. It's just very.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go. Sorry.
I was just saying, like, I also can't imagine that this is going to cause, like, if it was, like, controversy. I get, like, 6 ads for this game every night on YouTube. I can't imagine that this, like, controversy bubble is going to make your dividends back of how much you're spending on ad placement.
The thing is that I haven't played Splitgate 2. I played a little bit of the first one. And the big thrust of the first one was, hey, remember when Halo played like this? It was specifically, we miss old Halo. And that 2 was also kind of that. Because from what I recall, I think it was like some sort of like licensing or publishing deal where it was like, they hit a point where they couldn't update it anymore. And I think they were like contractually required to make a sequel. And so they were just like, yeah, this is basically just more of what the first one is, but we had to make it 2. And yeah, it was one of those things where I felt like there was really good word of mouth for a while there. I felt like there were people saying, yeah, you know, like Splitgate 1 was cool. Splitgate 2 seems cool too, because it's Halo. And the fact that they're trying to be like, oh, everything's the same when they're echoing something from the past, which isn't a problem per se, but it's more the fact that they're complaining using that. And then 2, you know, talking down all these other games and then just making a battle royale mode when that's what everyone's doing and they're way behind even, you know, like they're talking shit to Call of Duty and then they're doing something that Call of Duty did 5 years ago or more. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, you are not, yeah, you aren't like other FPS games because you're even slower on the uptick than they are. But yeah, it's just sad. And dude is, you know, people have dug up some stuff about the guy and he's like some shithead libertarian. And you know, like I don't want the whole thing to completely fail for the folks that are just working their day to day. You know, like obviously, like not everyone who works there is gonna be like, hell yeah, I love that guy walked out on stage with that stupid ass hat. But you know, also I hope this guy goes to hell. But oh yeah, and his dad is like the Intuit, like that whole shit, like the tax program. So, you know, that's where he got his money to make Splitgate.
And I mean, like the other thing is like I don't want to like take undeserved pot shots at like Splitgate 1. Like it's a completely fine, like serviceable FPS.
Yeah.
I feel like even it being here is it punching out of its weight class because I feel like in a way its relevance kind of got exploded more than was due because game released in 2019 when suddenly everyone was going into lockdown and just wanted something, anything to play. And it's like this is not the right venue for this in the first place. And I can't imagine that it's ultimately going to bear fruit in that particular case because it's a different social climate, it's a different economic climate. I can't imagine this is going to go well for them, especially just trying to cultivate that kind of audience.
Yeah. I mean, you know, they're probably going to get some of the like dumbass right wingers that are just trying to hop on whatever that they're told to hop on. But I doubt that it'll like that's never sustainable. They will always just jump to whatever. And the thing is too is that like a lot of those people are also against the kind of gameplay stuff that they're doing. Like it's not going to win for anybody because they pushed away a lot of the non-extremist type folks by doing all the dumb bullshit they did on stage. And then they're going to push away the people that they're trying to court because those people are the kind of people that are like, oh, another battle royale. They just completely shot themselves. They shot themselves in both feet. They basically just took both of their stupid Halo guns, shot themselves in both feet, and they went, why can't I walk anymore? What's going on? So
Also, like the original game is absolutely filled with like pride flag stuff too. So that's also not going to go great for that temporary boon.
exactly. It's just it just seems like nobody knew what the fuck is going on. It just seems like a complete conceptual failing all around. Nikolas, can I get to you now?
Yeah, but that guy was pretty much just all I wanted to bring up. I want that guy put on a chain and dragged down the road by a truck. So annoying. So
Yeah,
annoying.
fuck that. Fuck
That's-
that.
That's it, though. I don't have anything else to comment on the show. Because again, it was a case of someone would tell me something funny was said or popped up, and then I'd hop in, and it was the Dorito Pope doing his shtick again.
Mm-hmm.
No Sid the Science Kid this time either.
No.
Keely's got to reveal it one day. He's holding on
No.
to it. I like that you can tell that tweet has like you can tell he's definitely seen it, and it's made him feel some ways.
Look, I feel a little bit softer to Jeff Keighley than a lot of people, I think. Like I understand a lot of the criticisms, but also I can't hate the guy because like I think they announced some new season or revival of Sid the Science Kid, and he like quote retweeted it with like can't wait. Like he's running with the jokes. I'll give him that. It's fine. I'll I guess like I spoke to some of y'all in the staff Discord about this just because I was kind of trying to like wrangle with the internet's opinion of Jeff Keighley, and I think I've talked about this on the show before, but yeah, it's just like I don't think that he is like this innate evil per se. He's definitely like a symptom of how capitalism interacts with art creation and all that, but also like he's just he does love video games, I can tell, but dude is just like I need to make it as positive as possible, so I'm not gonna talk about the bad stuff. And I understand where he's coming from when all of his presentations are big sponsored corporate events like Summer Games Fest and the Game Awards. But so I understand why, like, a lot of people are like, hey, why aren't you like bringing up these big problems all the time? I understand where people are coming from that, but also like I understand that Keely's like, I don't know, we're not, we got to show some trailers, and so that's just how it is. It's why we have stuff like DICE and like the game develop and GDC and stuff like that. We have better places to talk about this stuff, and I think that is something that we should bring up more. Like more people should be watching DICE and the GDC awards or just GDC talks in general and treating video games with the artistic merit that they deserve, because that's what's going to change things, instead of just being like, hey, why isn't Jeff Keighley using his platform? It's like, what platform? Like his platform is commercials. It's not, whatever else.
There was a time when Jeff Keighley was a very good journalist who was doing like very
Yes.
in-depth coverage of the development of games.
Yeah, like there's those like final hours like things. Those are all excellent reads. And it's a bit of a shame that, he kind of dropped off of doing that kind of stuff, but that's just where he's at now. And you know, like you look at him trying to like highlight smaller games at the Summer Games Fest, and he's like, "Hey, Repo was big," and it's like, sure, you know, like that's nice and all, but that's one game, and you know, obviously you can't highlight literally everything. It's just it's such a weird thing. It's such a weird thing. I don't really know what the answer is per se. You know, like we got Day of the Devs and other stuff to highlight different kinds of games, but I don't know. I don't know. It's I the real answer is just that we need platforms to highlight different games and highlight different people. And I mean, you know, Gamesline is one of them. And I'm not trying to like pat myself in the back here. I do think what we do is important here, and I think bringing you folks on was something that will hopefully lead to more voices and all that. But at the same time, you know, it's good to have different places to talk about different things. So then I will wrap the Summer Games Fest section up by saying, you could play as Ichiban in Sonic Racing now.
Did you see his car?
It looks like a dragon.
It looks like a dragon.
Oh, I understand. Ah.
Okay, real quick, Solon in the chat did ask a question here that is a little interesting. What if Jason Schreier announced that he was hosting a Game Awards show and followed in Jeff's shoes? Like, what if another journalist type tried to do something like that, but specifically wanted to, you know, because like, yeah, like someone like Jason Schreier, who, you know, I will say, like, I don't think his reporting is perfect. Like, I think some of the stuff that he does is really good and interesting and important, but some of the stuff that he's done is just like, all right, man. But like, what do you think, like someone who is like very specifically bringing up like issues in unionization and working for video games and all that, do you think that could be something that would be interesting whatsoever? Or like like what kind of big show would be interesting, you know, like what, who could do something like that? Is that possible?
To me, it is not possible. I think the very structure of the show is like, you know, there are smaller games, but to even get here at all, you need what, like at least $5,000 to buy the
Something like
slot?
that.
I mean, I agree. I think that the intricacies of something like this fundamentally kind of fly against how gaming as a hobby is treated. It's not really treated in, like, at least in the commercial space, like an art form. It's more treated like a tech company, like an Apple, or, you know, any of these other companies that want to sell iterative, repetitive kind of commercial products. That kind of aspect, like when you, especially when you need to keep up relationships with these places that incentivize that kind of mindset, you're going to perpetually be fighting uphill unless there is a massive perspective shift, or kind of in the unfortunate case that we're seeing with the games industry recently, like stuff starts crumbling and it's only the enthusiasts that even care about this anymore.
Mhm.
It seemed I'm not gonna outright say like no, it's not possible, but I feel like to do something like this, it wouldn't be the same show because the way that like the Game Awards and Summer Game Fest is organized, it's like yes, these big companies coming in and paying for their spots, and you have the sponsors coming in, and with sponsors and whatnot, you have regulations, you have do's and don'ts. So to have a show that does highlight like, hey, this industry has these faults, and we're going to talk about them on a main stage, you're not going to have the same type of sponsors or companies coming into that show because they don't want to be attached to a platform that highlights everything wrong with them. So I think it would be more in line of something like Day of the Devs, where it's just a very straightforward, like, here's somebody who's very passionate about what they're making. Here's the product. And then after all the products are shown, they're like, so if you want to support us, here's how you can support us. And this is something really cool going on, or here's an issue that we're going to highlight today because of the show, and go on and so forth and do that. Because I personally, I don't think Jeff Keighley is bad at what he does. I think he's ignorant and chooses to stay ignorant in the case of like, I need to put on this great show so I can highlight all these games that are coming out, and I really love video games. But I'm not going to talk about this stuff because I'm really not going to look into it. Like it's just like if I don't hear it, it doesn't exist. And I feel like that's the mentality that Jeff goes into hosting these shows, because he's like, if I'm bummed out and I'm hosting this thing, people aren't going to watch it if I walk out on stage with my Charlie Brown ones and be like, yeah, so we laid off. Yeah, before the show started, about 300 people got laid off. Anyway, here's a new Deadpool VR game. Like, that's not the vibe that Jeff is trying to bring to these kind of things. So it's like,
and I don't
it's
think
hard.
it should be,
No.
like, again, like, I think that there should, but the thing is that there should be a place for stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
in a louder sense. And I mean, I don't have the exact answer about how that would work, but again, like, yeah, like hopefully more and more people will be able to talk about it. And I think the big problem is the games websites, a lot of games websites getting eaten up and chewed out and spit up and thrown away, because a lot of those places are the places that should be and were talking about the more quote unquote serious issues. And them not existing anymore is just not allowing for the coverage of what really matters. Nikolas, is there anything that you want to add on to that?
Not really,
No?
no. Because my big problem with Jeff Keighley is like specifically to him instead of just stuff with the industry in general. Is I just don't think he's charismatic to be presenting this.
Okay.
I never get excited at what he's saying, especially when it's the Game Awards. I don't really care about what the people who are receiving awards want to say, and he's like, "All right, yeah, that's cool. Anyways, check this out." And it's like, I don't care about you. I want to listen to the people, and I want to like see what they have to say. Stop showing trailers.
Yeah.
I don't care. I want to learn about the people who make these games. That's cool. Who gives a shit about you?
I mean, that was particularly funny with Death Stranding when he put that on. I think the guy was still trying to talk, and he was like, "Let's check out this trailer."
Oh yeah, Kojima was trying to say something and then they cut the trailer off. That was a weird moment for me because it's like today is the 8th. Kojima has a whole event for himself and Death Stranding 2 in Summer Game Fest. But yet they still took the time out of the main stage to bring him out and be like, "Yeah, let's talk about your new product. Let's see a new preview." And it's like, you gave him like a 2-hour spot tomorrow to talk about this. Why are we still highlighting this when you could use this like the first 20 minutes of the show to talk about anything else?
And it wasn't even a good highlight. They showed a random clip from the game that was just like a guy speaking to a woman for like 5 seconds, and then that's it. They were just kind of like, "Oh yeah, this is one of the new characters and he's gonna be important, but we're not gonna show you why he's important because that would be a spoiler." And that's it. It was just like, like why did you show us that then if you don't want to spoil anything and also you don't have anything to say about it? It was just bizarre. It was very bizarre.
He's the Mads Mikkelsen of this game.
Until they brought out actual Mads.
Yeah, and then Mads came out because he's going to be in Hitman, which is cute. Like it's they're doing some synergy stuff with IO Interactive's James Bond game. He's going to be basically playing his character that he played in the James Bond film that he's in. And that's cute.
It's interesting just the way these shows are produced and put on, because it's like half corporate, half like we need to appeal to the audience, and like putting like subtle jabs, being like, "Oh, Titanfall 3 getting canceled," or the Deadpool. I keep bringing up the Deadpool thing because it's just so, it was again, another trailer they showed that felt so just out of touch and not with the tone of what they were trying to convey, and just like,
oh my god.
You have Deadpool talking about late stage capitalism.
You have Deadpool talking about late stage capitalism and also being like, yeah, we were gonna show a Silk Song trailer, but instead we're gonna play this Deadpool game. By the way, Neil Patrick Harris is voicing Deadpool. What do you think? Like, just bombarding you with information that doesn't seem relevant to the game they're trying to show at hand.
Yeah. Bizarre.
To me, it's
I-
like the Summer Games Fest is not like worth improving. Like, I think even desiring it for it to be better concedes Keeley's narrative that this is an important celebration of gaming. Like, if you want to discover new indie games, just go to itch.io and download the first thing that looks interesting.
I don't think that like that's fair. That's, there's places to find out stuff about that, like there's plenty of people who play those games and talk about them and show them off, and just find your niche, I suppose. And then if that niche doesn't exist, hop on it. That's something that we should all strive to do.
Be the change you want to be in this space, just because gaming has gone from this little hobby to now it is we were saying earlier, like a more of like a tech luxury in people's lives. It's kind of like a day-to-day thing where if you talk to somebody, they will have an opinion about one video game. Even if they played one video game in their life, that's still one person who has something to say about a video game.
Yeah, and I mean, every video game now, especially in the more corporate space, is expanding. Budgets are expanding, the crew sizes are expanding, and they also want their presence in your life to expand. Like, the people who play, like, who make Fortnite, they want you to only play Fortnite, only care about Fortnite, only care that XYZ character is in Fortnite, do not play anything else. Especially like in the cases with stuff like Call of Duty, where it's like, yeah, we want this game to be so big it is the only thing you can put on your PS like 5 or whatever. Where this is kind of meant to be like not like a hobby where you vacillate between a bunch of different things. This is meant to be your game that you lock in for the 2 hours you get off work, and then back into the burger mine for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the expansion in the industry has been in like a handful of games, in Fortnite, in Roblox, in the various gotcha AAA games these days. Like the kind of stuff that they show here has not actually expanded much beyond like the PS3 days.
All right. So are there any other games in particular that you all would like to highlight from the other events? I will say, I'll put it that way. Let's see, who can we start off with this time? Jackson, I don't think we've started off with you yet. Do you want to start us off and talk about something from the other showcases that interested you?
I will say, for those who haven't seen it, check out this year's Day of the Devs. Every game they showed off in Day of the Devs made me like watching Summer Games Fest. I was like, okay, yeah, no, yeah, cool, whatever. Leaving a little bit of weird taste in my mouth, and then immediately hitting me with Day of the Devs. I was like, oh, thank goodness! Every game they showed was super interesting. It was either like something new to the genre that they were working with, or it was expanding on the genre, and it felt good to see. And like seeing some of these studios that I haven't heard from in a while, like House being like, yeah, we made Untitled Goose Game. Anyway, here's our game, Big Walk, where you and a bunch of friends are just wandering the mountains and solving puzzles, and it's like a social game.
Sure.
And it's like everything feels so good. And then Devolver not doing their weird Devolver thing, but they showed off this cool brick break RPG game called Ball Pit that I'm like, everybody should go check that out because it's crazy. I played the demo and I think I started the demo at like 7:00 at night, and then I kept playing it because you can just keep looping through the same level. And then I saw it was 4 a.m, and I went, oh yeah, no, this is gonna be great. This is gonna ruin my life. It's just so interesting, like all these indies coming out. I always highly recommend checking out the indies after these big old events, because if if Jeff is saying, "Hey, go look at an indie," I'm like, okay, there must be some kind of sauce here. If Jeff is willing to give time to an indie game outside of like Kojima's games or anything else, AAA.
Yeah, fair. All right. Crystal, how about you? Is there anything else that you want to highlight?
Oh, not really.
Okay. Lilith, how about you?
Yeah, actually, there was one particular game, and I really was like charmed by it because I did really like the last thing the Spiritfarer team did, but at Fate's End has kind of a visual aesthetic that I really vibed with, and I really did enjoy Spiritfarer myself. It was also one of those games where I struggled to finish it because it's kind of about, moving on and all of that kind of stuff, but I am certainly excited to see where they go with that.
Okay. Yeah, Nicholas, how about yourself? Is there anything that you want to highlight from the other showcases?
Not a new game, and I don't know if it's one of the showcases that we do not want to talk about by name, but oh my god, the trailer for the new Ultra Kill Lair is so good.
Oh, that was
So
just on the PC Gamer one. That's
yeah,
fine.
yeah, PC gaming show. Oh, that was so good. I'm so excited for it. I can't wait to have to P rank Layer 8 on Nintendo Switch Pro controller because I don't have a mouse.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
uh,
I can do it. But oh, that's so, no, I don't have anything else to say.
All right. I mean, Lilith, you can mention your power at Ultra Kill real quick if you want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I have like P ranked everything. I was there. Like I checked in, and I feel like my reputation precedes me at this point. Where I had 6 different people messaging me, and I was like expecting a singing telegram at a certain point, where people were gonna tell me that Layer 8 was being premiered right now, and it's super interesting because like I think the thing that they're kind of initially going for is that kind of intentional disarmament where they want you to be like, oh, we've seen this already. And then they kind of do like the Titanfall 2 factory level where it's so much bigger than you expect it to be, and you're meant to just be completely awed by the scale of it all. I am super excited to get my hands onto that one. Uh, hmm?
I'm really excited to see how they like work the fraud aspect into it specifically because violence was super well done and how it represented everything regarding the sin and how the lore of the world would attract that the final war. And I'm really excited to see because this feels like it's going to be the heaven layer where we finally learn like everything about the inner workings. Like if this doesn't go into the council from the end of the previous 2 acts, I'm going to be really. But we have a new angel enemy finally, so I'm hoping this is going to be like the place where that part of the story finally gets paid off. I'm really hoping that this manages to be something that either stands equal with or manages to top violence is my favorite layer because it looks very promising. But
Yeah,
I also am washed at the game, so I'll probably have to replay the entire thing ahead of time because I didn't play it with the new update, so I kind of gotta go back through everything and relearn how to play this psychotic game. Piece of plastic that isn't built for a shooter like this at all.
Yeah, I've been
So
here for
excited.
the PC release since like the super old, like back when there was only like the first chapter and everything. And so like I am ashamed to say that my play count, my play hours for Ultra Kill at this point they're now in nearly in excess of 700 hours playing Ultra Kill. So
Yeah,
Ooh.
I say in a perspective of relative authority that nuclear is probably going to be pretty good.
So
Mhm.
I'm putting my trust in it.
Okay.
So excited. That's all for me though.
Did I miss anyone? Jackson, did I hit you?
Yeah, you hit me first.
Okay.
I think now it's just you, bud.
All right. Then I will just say I will give a shout out to the something that was on the Wholesome Direct. You know, most of the time I kind of roll my eyes at the whole wholesome thing. It's a bit too played out. But I will say that Xseed and Marvelous are working with the fan translation group Hilltop Works to officially release a Japan-only PS1 game called Milano's Odd Job Collection, which, like, anytime something like that happens is immediately, yeah, I love when that kind of stuff happens. So please, more of that. Marvelous and Xseed, I need you to call up Lip Mecco and get them and just put Community Palm out officially. I will bring up Community Palm at least once a year since I played that fan translation. That is one of my favorite games ever. Please release that one. That's another Japan only PS1 game that I think everyone should play. I haven't played Milano, but you know.
I am loving the new kind of revival movement that we're seeing for like the era of Japan onlys, because the issue was like back in the day that you had this issue where you would see press coverage for a thing that would never ever leave Japan, and like we're seeing now that people are genuinely enthusiastic and interesting for like games like Moon, games like Boku no Natsuyasumi, and like all of these other kind of wonderful things that I'm glad that there is that kind of interest in like on like the odd way of saying it, but the new old.
Right. And just two weird things I guess I'll just mention. There is a new Game Freak game. It's Beast of Reincarnation, which just kind of looks like a Monster Hunter game. It's an action RPG. I don't fucking know. It's just, you know, as the Pokemon freak on here, it's kind of weird to see something that looks like a modern video game by Game Freak, I guess. But sure. And then, oh hey, oh go ahead.
It's so funny. The Game Freak revealed their big new original IP, and it looks like one of the other dozen UE5 action games where you parry and go yeah 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 at big enemies. But I guess this time you do have a dog.
You do have a dog this time. That is true.
Can
That
you
is
pet
different
the doggo?
for now. Maybe, probably, yes.
5 million up.
And then the last
call.
And then the last thing was that, yeah, there is a Persona 4 remake, the worst kept secret of all time. And it was really funny because the trailer was like 20 seconds of you, Narukami, just wandering. Yeah, this is a 45-second long trailer of just, oh hey, here's the TVs, here's the locations that you remember, here's Narukami running around like the Nintendo Hire This Man video. Bizarre that they, you know, it really does seem like they were just like, oh fuck, we have to announce this now. This is, everyone already knows. And it's also, I'm not someone who is too pissy about too many remakes. I understand a lot of the stances of it's, you know, that doing too many remakes can water down the original artistic intent, and that we should just be re-releasing things. Sometimes remakes are cool. Sometimes it's nice to have a new take on something that already exists. But this one, I'm very much on the side of, we don't really need this. It's, we could play Persona 4 Golden, and that'll be a perfectly great experience. I don't know what they're going to change or add to really make this stand out compared to the original PS2 game or Golden. And, you know, I mean, like, if you look at Persona 3 Reload, you know, like, for what it's worth, I think that game having a remake was a little bit more, I wouldn't say necessary, but it felt like something that, that was something that I was kind of asking for, because there were so many things that were in like Portable and other stuff like that that were, because of how Persona 3 Portable was made and how it was structured, it felt kind of off, that it was like, yeah, you know what, you can have these upgrades, but it's not going to, but you're missing out from this stuff from the PS2 version. And this feels like a far more complete package, except for not having Femc, which they really should have had her. But everything else, it does just make it feel like a more complete package of what they were trying to do with what Persona 3 is. But then Persona 4 is like, yeah, there's already a complete package. It's golden. What do we don't need anything else. So it's whatever. It's whatever. They'll probably remove the like that the like 1 or 2 homophobic scenes, and then there's still going to be a bunch of discourse about Naoto and Kanji, and I'm not, that whatever.
Can I opt out, please?
Please.
I'm excited to affirm my loyalty to brand by purchasing new products.
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited for everyone to argue about it again. I miss that. I say with my little double.
It's so easy to opt out and just not see it if you don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't go on Twitter on purpose. That's a place of misery.
Yeah.
It's just so odd. Like, get ready to play Persona 4 for the 3rd time, and I'm like, I pre-muted terms. Just I did my time on the forums back in the day when I was playing the original on PlayStation 2. I'm like, I'm good. I did my time. I'm gonna let the new generation of Persona 4 fans take over.
Sure.
I'll do anything in my power to prevent myself from hear any of the voice acting. Like, I don't want to know who that. You can't outdo Adachi. How are you gonna get someone else to voice that character? You can't.
Yeah, we'll see. All
Can
right.
you make voice Yosuke more pathetically than he already is?
Yeah.
You can't do it.
All right. So, we've been going on for a while. We have some questions, but I do want to let folks talk a little bit about what games they've been playing. So I'll just say, let's each choose a game that we want to talk about, and then we could do that. So I'm gonna go first here because I haven't gone first on anything yet. I guess the thing that I will talk about is just the Switch 2. I got a Switch 2. I went to the midnight release. I don't think that everyone should do this. Game console releases recently, I have kind of been walking away from them, being like, you don't have to do this. Don't go out of your way to do this. If you can get one, sure. If it'll make you happy and it won't cause financial struggle to you, go ahead. But don't jump through hoops, because it's not really that worth it. I am happy to have it because, again, as the Pokemon freak, they made Pokemon Scarlet and Violet playable like a normal video game. Scarlet and Violet is one of my top 5 generations. I love Gen 9 a whole lot, but that game ran like doo-doo caca, and now it doesn't. It runs at 60, and it is pretty much completely stable, and more Pokemon spawn, and they made it extremely easy to catch shinies. Like, I have already caught 2 shinies. I caught a shiny on stream without even trying. Like, while I was in the middle of saying how much easier it is to catch shinies, a shiny showed up. It was very funny. But I'm glad about that. But I would also not be like, oh, you should go get a Switch, because you like the fact that I'm having to pay so much money to have this game run at a stable frame rate, like, that's insane. That's not how it should be. And I don't know. I having to wrangle with that is just part of the industry, and it's weird. It's tough. Excuse me. But then I also got Kunitsugami, which is the Capcom sort of tower defense game that was a little more obscure. And I do hope people check that out because that's a fun game. That's really fun. I like it a lot so far. And I've also been messing around with Xenoblade X on there. They didn't really update anything for Xenoblade X. I don't even think it has like better load times or anything. It's just, I'm just playing it. But that's kind of it. And I have it right here. I'm gonna play this as soon as we hang up. I'm just going to turn this back on. Is I want to play more Kunitsugami.
It seemed like you were kind of interested in like the mouse control for it, in like how it translates to actual mouse input.
Yeah, so that's something that I haven't really messed around with too much. I should try Kunitsugami actually with that, because that seems like that would actually be really fun to play it like that. Now that I think about it, if that's something that it allows me to do. Because it is like a tower defense sort of thing. So being able to like click and drag and tell my guys to go over there by clicking on something, that seems like the way you would want to do it. But yeah, I don't have Mario Kart yet. I'm probably gonna pick it up because I do have access to Costco, so I won't have to spend $80 on it. I only have to spend $70. What a deal! What a bargain! I'm being asked by Mothra Alita 93 in the chat. What are my thoughts on the $10 tech manual? I think that sucks ass. I think that should have just been something that was free. Or hell, I don't even think that they should have made it at all because I think it's kind of stupid. I don't know. I mean, if I actually do play it, that might be something that I might find a little enjoyment out of, because I do enjoy knowing about technological and the development process of consoles and all that. But the fact that they're selling this as like a mainstream big, oh hey, guess what, spend $10 on this, like what, $10 on this, what? It's no, absolutely not.
It's a little bit more than 10, because you have to have the Pro Controller and the Switch 2 camera to get 100% of the challenges and little mini games in the $10.
That is true.
Software.
That is true. That is true. And I mean, I did get the Pro Controller. I'm a big fan of the Switch 1 Pro Controller. I do really like the Switch 2 Pro Controller. Oh my god, I've kind of fallen in love with it a whole lot lately. It feels so nice. But I'm probably not gonna get the camera. Yeah, that is true. Said in the chat, you can skip over it. But at the same time, you're not getting the full experience then, like they're specifically like, hey, drop $10 to check out all the features, and then you're not going to be able to experience all the features. But that's whatever. It's here or there. It's a bizarre thing. Let's see here. Jackson, we can hit you up again real quick. What's one game that you want to talk about real quick?
Honestly, I'm going to talk about Nightreign out of the things I
Okay.
listed. Just, it's such a weird game that has taken over my life since it's come out. Is like, I love FromSoft games. I love their formula. I love just the way they present story and whatnot. And then they come out of post Elden Ring DLC to be like, oh, more Elden Ring, but by the way, it's a roguelike. And it's like, what do you mean by that? And just, I did not think this game would have massive replayability. I feel like initially when I went into it, I was like, I'm just going to fight every boss, and then when they're done, I can put the game down and I'll say like, yeah, I played this game. But now I'm like looking for the most optimal run, doing weird builds, doing the FromSoft thing of like, I beat the game, but what if I beat the game again naked and only using a club? Like,
Sure.
it's the same formula for a different genre type, and it's I don't know how they did it. I don't know who at FromSoft was like, hey, let's make it like this, but kudos to them, because now, like you said, like, oh yeah, as soon as we're done recording here and we're all good, I'm gonna load up my Switch 2. I'm like, I think I'm gonna load up Nightreign and I'm gonna go do like a weird run just for fun, just to see if I can get it done and just figure out all these weird secrets this game has to hold, because it's
You explaining that a bit more does put it into perspective a bit more about what works for that game. Like, I remember when they announced this, and for a while afterwards, I was just like, yeah, this just seems like something that doesn't really fit the Souls-like type of game. But yeah, you saying, doing all the different builds and running through things again, like, that is something that a lot of Dark Souls players really love, and they've just made that more streamlined and made it multiplayer and made it so it's a different experience every time. Like, no, that does make a lot of sense now that you say that. That is what people want from Souls games. So no, that makes perfect sense to me now that you've said that. Yeah.
Yeah, they just boiled it down to the core things people want. And it's like, I will specify, anybody can play Nightreign, but they very much want like enthusiasts of these series to be playing this title because of everything that they put into it and the rewards you get out of it. Like, you can put you pick a certain character, they're scaled a certain way, and it's like, oh, well, I usually play strength builds in FromSoft games. Can I do that? Yes, you can. And guess what? If you unlock the costumes for that character, you can get the exact armor set you were using in DS1 or 2 and just run around. You can run around as a Katarina Knight. You can run around as Havel the Rock if you're just rocking a strength build. It does not feel like you're playing Elden Ring. It just feels like you're playing a Dark Souls mod at that point. They really just took the time to be like, what do people of our franchises really want out of something more simple?
Okay. That's really cool. Good to know. Nikolas, how about you? What are you playing?
You don't want to hear me talk about this.
I do. Come on.
All right.
John asked.
Line Last Defense Academy.
All right. How many endings you got? Let's hear it.
Like about 10, but I haven't gone ending branch trimming, so that's like 10 full long routes. I gotta get back to it, but whenever I play too much of it, I'm like, man, I should be 3D modeling, and then I go 3D model. But I've also been watching some of my friends play through it, just as I'm doing work. It's so good. It's such a good game. I can't believe Kodaka did it. I checked the site, I checked the Gamesline site, and you put down like in the little intro blurb that I like Kodaka. That's not true. Okay, don't. I've been defamed as a Kodaka fan on the official Gamesline website.
Okay, I mean, I'll go edit it. What would you say then? What would you say then? What's your opinion here?
I mean, honestly, just keep it up because it's funny.
Okay.
But I really love 100 Line. It's so good. I don't know how he did it. I really, really, really
a lot of help.
Yeah. I really love games that are like massive expressions of just how do I phrase it? It's like the kind of thing that couldn't really exist in anything other than a super indulgent, gigantic game that is so often just doing things I don't think I could imagine or see any other games for trying effectively in the way that a game like 100 Line would. And the fact that it's covered in all the like goofy, stupid Kodaka shit, like there are characters that use the dumbest internet lingo ever in it, and like all these dumb joke characters, like, oh, there's a girl who talks like a 90s anime dub. Oh, there's a girl with a tomato mask on her head. Oh, there's a guy who's like the classic delinquent of the group, but he cannot go a single sentence without saying, I would never, ever, ever hit a woman or a child or an old person or do anything. Like, it's so many stupid, dumb gimmick joke characters, and I love all of them because it's like, it's all the Danganronpa-ness of Danganronpa condensed into a game that has to spend hundreds and hundreds of hours with them and make that into something real. And it's like so wacky and out there, and it has to come up with so many ideas to make its runtime work, and it does. It'll pivot from like, now it's a comedy game, now it's a horror game, now it's a romance VN, now it's a slice of life. There's so many different things that it can be while having so many different gameplay mechanics. Like it'll just change gameplay genres too randomly. It's so just there's so much in it. I love it so much. It's so overindulgent and huge. Just like in the sort of way something like Umineko is, where it's just ridiculously long and indulgent and gigantic and explorative of every single thing and concept that it could be. I love that so much. I want there to be more games like it. I can't believe they did it after V3, which was just, this is kind of consistently annoying to me.
Mhm.
Maybe Code Rain sucks though. I didn't touch that one, but it's like it's so good. It's
Mm.
so good. I'm impressed. I am so impressed that there can be games like this that are made with so much production value too. Like the models are really great. The animation's awesome. It's so aesthetically strong. The
Mhm.
soundtrack is just as good as the Danganronpa soundtracks, which are some of my favorites out there. It's I have nothing but praise to give this game, which feels weird considering the guy the guy whose name is on it. It's so beautiful.
I think I will probably end up playing it eventually sometime this year. I think I've kind of been weathered down a bit. I'm ready to forgive, like I'm always ready to give people another chance. And I think I'll do it with Underline, even though I think Rain Code is caca poo poo pee pee from a butt. Um, it's okay. I'll give it another chance.
I will say, if you give Hundredline a chance, all the characters are written like weirdly lame in the first week, which is what the demo covers.
Hmm.
So I recommend, like, it feels weird to say, okay, so I recommend the demo, but then also just ignore the character writing in the demo because it's bad. But it's like, it's so weird how it's like completely sauceless for that first week, and then that first week ends, and it's like, okay, you're playing the full game. Now this is a good cast.
Okay,
It,
sure.
I see you shaking your head in disagreement like every single time I begin a sentence.
No, yeah. I mean, no, yeah, like I feel like because I played all the Danganronpas, I feel like that's just kind of how it is because they set everything up, and then once they get past that first like instance of like, okay, here's how this works, then you actually get to know the characters, and it's like, okay, that makes sense.
I will say, I think like a lot of the praise I think comes from the fact that a lot of Danganronpa's problems with its cast feel kind of like naturally assuaged when they're put into an RPG context, since there has to be more commitment. These characters have to be consistently like equivalent. There's no like quick chapter one depth characters
Yeah.
because
Like
they need to stay in a
that
party.
is something that I think they kind of figured out. Like the reason why I think 2 is one of the best games in that franchise and one of my favorites still of all time is that they very specifically were like, we are getting around that a bit by making the first death a character that is kind like technically a returning character, so you know them already in a sense, even though you don't actually, and that's part of it. And I think that's a cool hook, and also it's a way to be like, okay, I already know how this character is, yada yada. Yeah, Danganronpa 2 is really good. Okay. I don't want to just sit on that for yeah, okay. All right. Crystal, what have you been playing? What's a game that you want to talk about?
I have been playing the 2002 Splinter Cell game.
Okay.
I really like the look of Unreal Engine 2, where it
Mhm.
has the very sharp stencil shadows and the bright lights. And I think Splinter Cell really takes advantage of that because it's a game, it's a kind of game I like with a very simple but effective mechanic, which is stay in the darkness and create more darkness by shooting out lights. And in the game, the lights are like exaggeratedly bloomy and bright to the
Mm.
point where they kind of hurt to look at. They feel threatening. They feel like something you want to shoot at. And then
Mhm.
the darkness feels safe because
Yeah.
when you shoot out all the lights, Sam Fisher blends in perfectly, except for the lights on his goggles and back. The whole screen is pitch black, hex code 000000.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think it's a very good example of like the aesthetics of a game and the gameplay of a game working in concert. Um, and there have been rumors for years of a Splinter Cell remake happening.
Mhm.
Uh, and playing the original just really highlighted to me how I think the modern lighting trend of realistic global illumination just would not work for Splinter Cell at all. It kind of
Okay.
requires a very sharp contrast between light and darkness.
Interesting. do you think that it would be possible for them to have that to understand that kind of light and dark is necessary for a Splinter Cell game, or do you think it's just like, no, this is just not going to be the same?
I think it is possible, but I think that game seemingly being in development hell for half a decade is not a great sign.
I mean, that's like half of Ubisoft's games these days. So. Ugh. Frustrating.
I've also been playing The Wind Waker.
Okay.
It's been interesting kind of going through the exact same arc I had when I played it as a kid, where it makes an amazing first impression. It's like the best looking game ever made. No other cell shaded game quite captures this sense of flatness and saturated color, including the Wind Waker remake. And then you get on the ocean, it's like, wow, the music swelling and the waves, and it's amazing. And then as the game goes on, it's like, it has the usual open world problems, doesn't it? Of like, it kind of takes too long to get anywhere. And then when you get there, there's not a whole lot there. And then you play through the dungeons, and it's like, this still looks amazing. But it seems like in their third take on Ocarina of Time, they're kind of running out of ideas for dungeons, and I kind of just going through the motions of it.
Yeah. All right. Well, enough with you. What's a game that you want to talk about?
So I think I name dropped Dragon Quest XI earlier, but I've pivoted. I've grown as a person in this past 2-ish hours. I want to talk about one of the other games that has kept me in my JRPG purgatory, which is I've been playing Trails in the Sky, second chapter. And
there's like 10 people right now that just went, yeah!
Like it was the funny thing because I have been like I would say I'm pretty diverse in terms of like my consumption of JRPGs. I love even like the weird ones like, Kludelka and stuff like that. But I had never really given like the Falcom line of games a chance. And it was not like out of any particular bias. It was like that kind of thing where you just kind of throw your hands up and say you'll get to it eventually. But I am like a massive, gigantic Xenogears fan. And this was always just kind of lingering because it has that same kind of sprites of like a highly detailed, like the PS1 era sprites with the initial like low poly, like you can rotate it almost like it's a diorama. And I think like the thing that's fascinatingly charming, especially like playing it at the same time as Dragon Quest XI, is that like it kind of opened my eyes to like this precognitive bias that I've always had about JRPGs, because I grew up on Final Fantasy. Like one of the first games that my uncles forced on me was like Final Fantasy VI, except we called it Final Fantasy III back then. And I think you kind of like, when you are in the Final Fantasy hole, you kind of forget that Final Fantasy lives in a kind of state of perpetual melodrama. And I don't say that as like a negative. I say that entirely as like an unalloyed good, because in that same kind of way that 90s anime needs like the Goku screaming and the people like absolutely locking in for like the voice acting bits, it is kind of refreshing to play two games that are, for different reasons, just absolutely incredibly confident in the kind of experience where they're not afraid to poke fun of themselves, but they aren't doing it in like the kind of way. I'll use a brief anecdote to say this, but like there's a kind of comedy that is typical in gaming, which is the modern zeitgeist, which is like the let's reference a thing and we'll get a cheap smile because you know what that is. And like, even like with, Deltarune recently coming out, Toby's not immune to that kind of thing. But there is kind of like an absolute confidence that comes from playing with what is absolutely silly while also taking the aspects of your world building that are dark, that are interesting, and confidently doing both without having the fundamental embarrassment of your own writing to just be like, isn't that stupid? Haha, princess getting saved by a knight. Isn't that dumb? No, we just are going to do it and we're going to be proud that we're doing it the whole time. And that's kind of why I've always loved JRPGs as like a game set, because in order to truly write like a JRPG, you kind of just need to accept, okay, this is all kind of cringe, but I don't care. I'm going to write the biggest characters, the biggest world building. And especially, again, like with what Nikolas was saying before, like having something that is so indulgently like big in its scope kind of allows like that same level of excitement where you feel like you're discovering something over every horizon. Like it is fun and like it's part of the appeal. Like, cause I think people are kind of reductive when they say that JRPGs are just kind of, well, it's fun to watch the number go up. It was my little guy learned a new ability, but it's also fun to be able to look backward and to have that kind of retrospect vision to be able to say something like, God, that like the first village in this game was like 60 hours ago, and I feel like all of these characters are fundamentally different now, and I truly feel like I've gone on a journey with them. And that's, I think, what is the heart and soul of like JRPGs and role-playing games in general.
All right. And so you feel like Trails highlights that really well.
Well, yeah, because the main thing with it is like, again, you are kind of playing in a relatively tiny scope. This game is set in one country. You're not exploring like a continent an hour. And because like every because ironically, because the scope is small, the scope is big. Because every city has like a reoccurring cast. Like you are meeting the same people over and over and over again. And like I'll say as like a TTRPG head, like it's the same kind of thing where like players are almost always excited to see a guy they already know rather than saying like a new guy, because you're kind of burdening them with mental baggage where it's like, oh god, I have a new face and a new name that I need to remember. It's like, no, I love that guy. I remember that guy from, 2 cities ago or 2 games ago. And part of the general size of the Legend of Heroes series is because you can have people from 6 games ago showing up in the game that released in 2025. And it's the same kind of like, that guy, that's my friend. That's my friend from 10 years ago.
All right. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that anyone wants to talk about before we do questions and wrap this up? No? Okay.
Short of me rambling about Occult Crescent in 14.
Well, we can do that another time. All right, so we got some questions. If you want to send in a question, you can go to our email address, which is podcast@gamesline.net. You can go to our Discord server, which is at thegamezone.zone. You type that into your web browser, and it'll bring you straight there, and you can join us, and we have a little thread for questions. And maybe we'll take like 1 or 2 from the chat. Maybe not this time, but maybe in the future. We'll figure that out. First off, we got 2 questions from Niall, who used to be a contributor to the site. Now is not. Now is just out in the industry now. First off, Niall says, "Why does it feel like we're moving towards a future where the only 2 types of games are Souls and Gooner?" I just think that was what was being highlighted on the game, the Summer Games Fest. Like, State of Play had a lot of different stuff. A lot of different places had a lot of different things. I just think right now the mainstream is like, oh man, people like Souls, and oh man, people like Nikkei. I guess that's what it is. I don't know. Yeah, until we have Goon Souls, which I guess that is Stellar Blade. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Code
So-
Vein, Stellar Blade.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
all right, we do have Gun Souls already.
There have always been derivative mids in games. There used to be there were a bunch of Sonic likes. Used to be there were a bunch of Resident Evil likes. Used to be there were a bunch of Arkham Asylum combat games. Used to be a
Yeah.
bunch of GTA clones. Um, all things considered, Souls is not a bad template for derivative games. I can enjoy a Flintlock Siege of Dawn from time to time. However, one thing that has changed in the industry is that it takes a lot longer to make a game.
Yeah.
So it's like games become so quickly out of date because when you start development, you might be on trends, and then by the time you finish, the culture has changed so much and you just seem like you've got nothing.
Yeah, like all those extraction shooters that are coming out now, it feels so out of date. And, it was kind of a weird thing to latch onto at the time, even because that was, like Tarkov and all that. But it's even more bizarre now because it's just like, oh, yeah, it kind of feels like people were already in agreement that nobody really wanted a million of these, and now a million of them are still coming out because they have to, because they started working on them a long time ago when Tarkov was a slightly big thing. And the industry is just so it's on a delay right now, and that is the frustrating thing, I would say. It's just that we're playing catch up because of COVID and because of ballooning uh budgets and all that. So it's a weird time. That's basically it. And then yeah. As a Plasmir in chat said, a Stardew Valley for farm sims. Yeah, there. That's something that a lot of people are like, oh my god, there's so many farming games these days. And like that's just because people were inspired by Stardew Valley, and then they took a while to come out. It's the industry is just weird right now.
I
And
mean,
then
I also think, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I was gonna move on, but if you have something to say, go ahead.
I also think that it is not necessarily a thing that is inherently unique to video games. Like, at events like, State of Play, Summer Games Fest, and all of that, these are fundamentally going to be the crowd pleasers. They're not going to put, fear and hunger on the main stage of, these kinds of events.
The Wholesome
And
Games event.
they're going to do whatever broadens the tent in terms of generalist appeal, and
Mhm.
generally speaking, the most appealing things are the things that are anodyne or taken as granted. And that also goes for things like games needing to be every game. Like, there's a period where every game needs to be open world, it needs to have Souls combat, it needs to have crafting, and it makes it so that when you have these games where they're singularly needle point focused, like visions, they seem refreshing, not even necessarily because they're doing anything new, but because they're not trying to do everything broadly and in a way that is inoffensive to the most people. As far as the comment on the sexuality intrinsic to games, like, that's not a new thing. Like, I think, like, obviously you could point to the popularity of the gotcha audience for the sexuality of things like character designs going up and kind of like that kind of aspect of games. It's not new. We've always kind of had this kind of thing. I think it's also we are entering a period of, I want to say, societal prudishness, where a lot of people are kind of getting more offended by the free expression of things like sex or sexuality. And I think that a game kind of liberating itself and actually being able to express that kind of thing is in its own way admirable. And I think when the real complaint that should be had, rather than things falling into these two camps, should be more oriented not toward being like everything is on this continuum, but more like who is going to do these two things well rather than just doing it because this is what the board of directors said is default video game.
Yeah, like we said earlier, the difference between an Atomic Heart and something like Stellar Blade or Nikke. I mean, like Stellar Blade has its issues here and there, but like again, there's a difference between Nikke and Atomic Heart when Atomic Heart is just like literally just like we are zooming in on this character's ass and that is literally everything about this character. That's it. And then something like Nikke, it's like, dude, I don't even play that game. And like when I see Anise, the girl from Nikke, like the main girl, who is like breasting boobily all the fucking time, my reaction is just, oh, that's my friend Anise. Because I know that she likes drink soda and she's kind of a shithead and she's just a fun character. And it's like that is the difference, Like, yeah, she's a sexually designed character, but she's got a lot more going for her, and that is why there is a difference between that. Like having sexual things in the world is not automatically evil. It's the new, yeah. As Plasmir in the chat says, it is the nuance. We want them to be more than just a set of breasts and ass.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing that Stellar Blade is blatantly trying to ape. It's Nier again,
Yeah.
2B is a beautiful design. She's intended to be, attractive in that kind of way, but she's also, a person. Like she has fears and thoughts, and again, a character is allowed to be attractive. The issue is when they are attractive outside of their own interiority, where it kind of becomes a problem where it's like, okay, that's... I just kind of want there to be honesty around it rather than just like, oh, we're being coy about our own sexuality and expression here.
Yeah.
Yeah, simultaneous to the rise of so-called gooner designs in Summer Games Fest type games, I have noticed a trend in some indie games like Thirsty Suitors or even like the Hades character designs where there's like the idea of sex and sexuality and yet there is no sex. And that to me is kind of like I actually would prefer having more sexual themes in video games, but it seems like games are either too scared to do anything more than kind of gesture in that direction, or the character designs very much gesture in that direction, but without the humanity to them.
Yeah, like I think about, and I don't want to be too mean, especially to like an indie dev group, but like I think about that game that's like date everything, and that feels like it's because it's just like, oh hey, you can date all these characters, and it's like there's you can date the curtains, you can date the toilet, you can date your bed, and it's like, yeah, there's going to be writing there, like those characters are going to have dialogue, they're going to have a personality, but at the same time it's just like, why am I going to feel attached to those characters that I would want to date them besides the funny haha I'm talking to my toilet? Meanwhile it's like I'm gonna remember a character like I would remember 2B no matter what she looked like, because of her, what happens to her in the story, how she changes, etc., etc. There's more to it than just, oh, isn't it funny? And also, it's not necessarily bad that there's something that's just, oh, isn't it funny that you can do this? Because, like, I've enjoyed plenty of games where it's just like, okay, yeah, here's this goofy little gimmick, here's this dumb concept, and it's not that much deeper than that. But also, we should recognize it as this concept of, this is a goofy plot, and not, oh, we're really tackling sexuality in video games. It's like, are you? you're just making a joke out of romance. And like, again, you can do that, but are you really like wrangling with how video games handle sexuality and relationships, or are you just goofing around?
I mean, I think in a big way. Sorry.
Because goofing's fine, you know? Just
And I mean, I think that in that same kind of way, like, people have sex. And
Yeah.
to some people, sex can be important. And I don't think that an absolute abstaining on depiction of it is healthy for anyone. But at the same time, we gotta get out of the boys' locker room at some point. Like, we're like, not everyone who plays video games is 14 anymore. We have to have more nuanced, more interesting discussions about topics like sex and sexuality that go beyond just people can have boobs sometimes. Did you know that?
What? Since when?
I mean, at least since like I hit puberty.
Okay, I'll believe you for now, but
Yeah, I guess broad level statement. I want sexual themes in the sense of like two characters characterfully having sex together and not just a character to ogle.
I mean, that's the same problem with stuff like Baldur's Gate 3, where you have characters who are kind of like, I don't know, thoughtlessly clicking together, but what are we saying about the characters with them doing this? I just picked out the one that I thought was prettiest or most attractive, and we kind of thoughtlessly made them player sexual just so the two player models can sexlessly grind together.
Exactly, yes.
All right. Next question, also from Niall here. How bummed out would you be following the Marvel Tokon reveal if you're working on the Invincible fighting game? I mean,
okay. I'm like,
I just go to bed.
I wouldn't go to bed. I'd just be like, we have something to base our product off of. We have healthy competition. Like, yeah, it might be a little like bummer just to be like, yeah, I can't wait to unveil this Invincible fighting game. And then Marvel Tokon comes out. Yeah, it's like an ego hit, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, now we know what we can and can't do. We know how to kind of circumnavigate this competition now because, like, you have Killer Instinct devs working on that.
yeah, it's going to be a different market, you know. Like the kind of people that are going to buy a Marvel fighter aren't 1-to-1 the people that are going to buy an Invincible fighter, and vice versa. And you know, there's a market for a violent fighting game too. Like, you know, say what you will about MK, but those games do sell pretty well. It's a weird thing, but it is a separate thing. And the thing with fighting games is that a lot of the times they do coexist. You know, you think about how, you know, the FGC is like, yeah, you know, we accept Tekken, we accept Street Fighter, and those are such different things. And you know, we can joke about it, but I don't think that like that game is going to just completely crash and burn. Like if it plays well, there will be an audience. That is just that is the end all be all. Is just if that game has good gameplay, people will play it, no question.
And like visually so far it's not appealing, but from what they've shown off, like small clips I've seen and whatnot, like it plays well. Like it looks like it has that KI style where you can just keep combos going over and over and over again. Like they're keeping things going, and I'm like, if you got KI devs working on it, you're gonna get characters doing triple jumps and air combos, and you're gonna be watching Evo, watching Invincible on a side stage, and some guy is gonna be like, yeah, I've been sitting here for 10 minutes waiting for my set, but the guy won't finish his combo.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the stories you're gonna start hearing out of that now.
Yeah. All right. Next question here. Solon kind of has 3 questions. So first one is for the new crew, what is the pod drink? What are you drinking, or what have you been drinking through the podcast? Lilith, what have you been drinking? I think you said tea.
Yeah, I've recently gotten into tea, so I got recently paranoid about the plastic spoon worth of microplastics stuck in my brain, so I started buying like loose leaf tea. And today I went through my sampler and I started drinking. I think it's strawberry and pineapple tea.
Ooh.
I would recommend it if you're curious about tea. Don't ask me because I have no idea, but don't feel intimidated out of just buying a sampler.
Okay. You know, my therapist is really into tea, and it was kind of funny because I think he was like a little nervous that like he was like, oh, I don't know if that's something that John's interested in, you know. But he like he brewed some up for himself for one of our sessions, and then I was like, I think he started mentioning that like he goes to like tea events and stuff like that, and so I was just like, yeah, I mean, like, I'd give tea a shot or whatever, and then the next time he had a cup for me, and then now whenever I go there, he has it out there, like, as soon as I show up, and I'm just like, I like it, like, it's good, it's tasty, so that was a nice thing, that was a nice inviting thing for I'm glad I have a good therapist, and would recommend most folks to, check out therapy if they can. But that was, I should try more tea, and I will probably ask you for recommendations as well, because I trust your taste. How about you, Jackson? What have you been drinking?
I just straight water. Like the look of like carbonated beverages or coffee and stuff like that, I feel like it's poison. So like even growing up, like looking at a drink that's carbonated, I'm like, oh, that's gonna dissolve me. That's acidic. And now, like as an almost 30-year-old man, I drink one carbonated beverage, and it feels like my whole body's gonna explode. I did not build up the tolerances like other people, so I'm just plain Jane, just like Seattle water in my system right now.
No, I mean I respect it. Like I mean this I've been sipping on water this whole time. This is my Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel Dawn of the Battle Royale bottle that I've had for like 2 years, and it's just a big ass bottle of water that I won from a Twitter competition, and it's for a Yu-Gi-Oh! Game that nobody played for a format that never got brought over to the States. It's very funny. But I just like this water bottle. But Nikolas, what are you sipping on? What do you got?
Nothing right now. I don't
Nothing.
stuff like this.
You gotta okay. Listen, next time you're on here, you're gonna have to come in hydrated. All right, don't be doing that to yourself.
I'm feeling fine. Don't worry about me.
I want to worry about you. You're on here. You're a friend. All right. I don't do that to yourself. You gotta
Don't worry
hydrate.
needlessly about me. All right. I plan my drinks out. All right.
All right. Okay. All right. I
This is
respect that.
It's all according to my grand design.
Okay. Okay. Crystal, how about yourself? What's your hydration choice of today?
I am also a plain water person. It's the only drink I have in my home.
I respect it. I respect it. I'll be honest, I do need caffeine. So I've been jumping around with stuff. I was an energy drink person at first. Like I would drink a Red Bull every day, and then I cut back on that, and I would just do it when I felt like I needed it. And then I switched over to coffee. I would have a coffee in the morning, and now I've been doing a Celsius. I drink a Celsius every morning, and I don't know if that's better or worse than coffee. It's like 10 calories.
I think it's like
So
200 milligrams of caffeine.
I don't know. I think they're tasty. They taste like watermelon, and I like watermelon flavored stuff, and I feel good for the day after I drink it. So that's what I do. And I'm still alive, so I guess that's good enough.
See,
Someone also go ahead.
Oops, sorry. I was like, just nobody can outdo how I was in college, where you first met me, where I was drinking 3 Monster Energies a day instead of sleeping.
Holy moly!
Don't
Why
do
were you
that.
doing that?
Don't do that.
It was because I was trying to get out of college, and I was also working like 2 jobs at the same time.
Okay, fair
I'm glad
enough.
you're not doing that anymore, because oh my god. All right. This is a an indulgent question from Solon, and also involving me because I am also a Smash Bros freak. So Solon is asking, what is your insane dream Smash Brothers character pick? I think that's a good concept to kind of get a feel for the kind of person that you are and the kind of gamer that you are. If there's a Smash Brothers character, a character that you want to see in Smash Brothers, let's see here. Jackson, we can start with you. Is there a character that you really want to see in Smash Brothers one day?
For the longest time, I didn't think it was gonna happen, but we ended up seeing Terry Bogard and then a character from Tekken in Smash, which opened up my crazy brain to be like, why don't we put in a character from Guilty Gear in Smash Brothers? We have Guilty Gear on Switch now, and they're part of the library, and they've been a staple in the industry forever. Why don't we put another fighting game type character? Like, I'll even take like a Mortal Kombat character, like just something more in line with like fighting game history. I'm for that.
Yeah, like again, I'm not a big MK guy, but like if they put Scorpion in or Sub-Zero or whatever, I wouldn't be too upset about that. Like they're classic characters, they're important to the history of video games, and I can see them being pretty fun. But is there someone specific that you would want to see from Guilty Gear or Mortal Kombat? Like, do you just want them to do Soul or Kai, or is there someone else?
I feel like before Strive started picking up more with their DLC, I was like, yeah, just put Soul in there. But now I'm like, you could put an Elfelt or a Biken in there. Well, not a Biken. Yeah. No, not a Biken. I don't think you could do a Biken. I think
Smash is for good boys and girls.
Yeah, Smash is for good boys and girls. I feel like you'd have to put like a Potemkin, just like a big beefy dude.
I don't know if you've seen, but there is I think it's a mod 4 Ultimate that has Potemkin in there. And it is just like the sprite of Potemkin from Strive. And you could just play as him in Smash Ult. It's insane, and it's pretty cool. I don't remember if it's Ultimate or if it's for one of the older games, but yeah, there is just like a Potemkin Smash mod that is just the sprite, and it kind of works. It's crazy, but yeah, I would like for them to pick someone who isn't just the main character. Like, yeah, like Potemkin would be cool. I mean, I know that like Bridget is the big choice these days, and it's God. I feel so bad about that because like there is this. Bridget is kind of overdone now, you know, like the fact that like they made her the big thrust of the anime and everything. It's like, okay, you can calm down a little bit, but then at the same time, it's like it's really cool that like a trans woman is a big character that is pushed a lot, you know, like that's cool. It's like, you know, people want to see other characters, so I get it. Like people want merch of the other characters, and Bridget has like 700 statues now, and it's like I get it. I get why people are a little annoyed by it, but also like being able to say like a canonically trans character is in Smash Brothers would be cool. So I don't know, like you did. Well, whatever. It's what it is. Nikolas, do you have a dream Smash character or like a weird pick?
I have a list of these.
Okay.
I'd want Jacko from Guilty Gear, and she plays like exactly like she does in Xrd, just because I want to see that in Smash. That would be really funny. She's not even like the main character I play in that game. I play Bedman in Xrd. I want Beatrice from Mineko, just because that'd be funny to show up. You know, Worms, the Team 17 series. I'd want a worm from that in there. Just call him Boggy B.
Okay, I mean, that'd be cool. You know, I think that like Worms, like all those weapons would map to a Smash Brothers moveset very well.
Yeah, he'd be like this weird. I feel like he'd be like this weird fusion of like Snake, Pac-Man, and how he'd play. Just like a bunch of explosive shit being thrown around.
100%.
V1 from Ultra Kill would be great. I don't know how the hell that'd play in Smash. And I'd also like something from Steam World.
Okay.
But that would never happen. That absolutely would never happen. Oh, and P Shooter from PvZ would be funny. That's my funny.
Okay. That could just be a skin for Piranha Plant.
I have a huge list. There's a bunch.
Look, we could talk about that later. All right, that'll be we can figure that out. All right, Crystal, do you have any Smash Brothers opinions?
I would want, as a unit, Parabo and Satebo, the Satellaview mascots. You have Parabo as a character on the ground, controlled pretty traditionally, and then Satebo is like orbiting around the stage, so you can do attacks from all sorts of angles with them.
That is a crazy deep cut, and I highly respect that. I could see them doing like an assist trophy for that, but like having some kind of like full-on character like that would be interesting.
I do think for the next Smash, I would want them to move away from guest characters and do more Nintendo deep cuts.
I mean, I wouldn't complain about it. Like my weird cut Smash pick is still Mach Rider. I love Mach Rider is my favorite NES game, and I would love to be able to play as Mach Rider, and I would love for them to make a new Mach Rider game. I specifically wanted them to make a new Mach Rider for Wii because I wanted it to be you held the Wii remote nunchuck sideways like you were riding the bike. You could rev it up and drive, and then you could press the buttons on the back to shoot. That's what I wanted. We didn't get that. But bring Mach Rider back. Put Mach Rider in Smash and put Mach Rider on Switch 2. And okay, Lilith, what is your Smash Brothers opinion? Who do you want in Smash?
So I have been riding the emotional high ever since Pyra and Mithra got added to Smash, so I feel like I've been eating good on that front, but if I was dared to dream,
Mhm.
I have a pick that will absolutely never happen, and a
Okay.
pick that I feel at least has like a more than 1% chance of happening. And I would love for a Tails protagonist that
Okay.
isn't like a Mii fighter costume. I'm still a bit upset about Lloyd getting into the game that way. My other pick, and I also picked this because I think that it would be an incredibly interesting moveset, like on par with Hero.
Okay.
Sagi from Batten Kaitos Origins, or
Okay.
Callus, I guess, because like being able to do like the card selection and like manipulating the field that way could be super cool. Or you could just like put Velvet Crow from Tales of Berseria in there and have her play like evil Kirby.
Yeah, I was gonna ask like what Tales of character specifically you would want, but yeah, if it's Velvet makes sense. Yeah. I mean, she's like a very different character, like design wise and gameplay wise. I feel like to a lot of other Tales of characters, just from the ones that I've played. But you know, she would be really. I think she would be really cool in Smash. Yeah, absolutely. All right, last question here, and then I think we're gonna wrap up after this because it's been a while. We'll do chat questions next time, perhaps. Solon also asks, he says, when I joined the team, Zach and I were the video editors, and that role helped me focus my efforts in a way where I ended up doing professional video journalism and vlogging by the end of my term. What kind of role or spaces would y'all like to use Gamesline to push towards? So that's kind of a bit of a big one. That's a big question. I mean, you know, I don't know if because you know some of us are maybe trying to figure that out still. But I'll just kind of run through. I mean, is there anything that you want to set as a goal for working with Gamesline with we'll start out with Crystal. Crystal, is there anything that you have a goal for Gamesline?
I want to hone long form writing. I want to get comfortable with that because right now it is sort of a struggle to do that. And I hope it will be less so a year from now.
Good enough. Good enough. Jackson, how about yourself?
I guess similarly, just long form writing, but also more hone my craft. Just because with the streaming and stuff, I'm always front facing, and I have to show my personality and kind of basically run events and whatnot. And I feel like if down the line, Gamesline is like, hey Jackson, there's this event going on. Take a camera and a microphone. I could feel like, oh yeah, no, I could do this. I could host like a little interview thing or do whatever. And I feel like this is the platform that will help me do that, and the people on staff are willing to support and give critique and help me just become better at what I've been doing.
Okay. Hell yeah. Nikolas, how about you?
I cannot think of anything off the top because I mainly just want to use this to have an excuse to write more. It's nice to just have an avenue to write and put things out because sometimes I'll find myself wanting to, and it's like I'm not doing this for anything. No one's ever gonna see this. It's like I want to be able to share thoughts because that's cool. I like sharing things with people, even if they are random.
Yes.
So having a place to actually give structured thoughts and writing on things will be nice.
I mean,
So I don't want this.
part of it is
I'm not-
finding that. You
Yeah, I'm
know?
not like looking for this to lead anywhere. This is a nice thing for me to have.
Sure.
This is
And Lilith, how about yourself?
I kind of intentionally went in this to keep my ambitions humble, so to speak. I don't want to be like, I want to help Gamesline get $100,000, even if that would be kind of cool, admittedly. But I do kind of agree in that sentiment of being able to have a space where instead of it just being like me rambling to myself in like a Discord call or something, having my thoughts kind of amount to something where they do kind of become that long form, or even like with reviews or with features, or I think there's a lot of things that have yet to be plumbed in this kind of space where I don't want to necessarily continue contributing to like the vast commercialism of this hobby. I want this to be a reflection of, how important stories on a fundamental, person level are to people. And so even if that amounts to, I write a review and I talk about how I personally felt about a game, I think that is a worthwhile ambition to have, and I'm willing to ride that particular train wherever it goes.
And we're happy to have you. All right. No, that's great to hear, everyone. I'm, that makes me really happy, and I'm just hoping that we can continue working together in the future. And I hope you all are excited to be here because I'm excited that you're here. But that should do it, folks. I mean, this is a long one, but we are introducing 4 new people, and we're talking about E3, and it's like, or E3. It's that's just how it is sometimes. All right, so let's kind of wrap it up and tell people where they can find us and the like, if you so choose. If you don't want to share your social media, I'm not gonna force you. First off, if you want to continue to support us, our website, the website is gamesline.net. You can go to gamesline.net and you can look at the reviews, the information, the podcasts that we've done, videos, etc., etc. If you do want to follow us on social media, we have a Blue Sky, which is just gamesline.net on there, which it's fun that we could just do that. We have our Twitter at the Gamesline. We have our Tumblr, gamesline.tumblr.com. The Facebook, facebook.com/Gamesline. We have a YouTube channel, which I'm going to be uploading the VOD from my Switch stream probably tomorrow. That's youtube.com/@sign the Gamesline. It has to have the @ in there, or at the Gamesline. And then the Twitch, which you're watching right now, feel free to subscribe or to follow us or anything like that. If you liked this podcast, we're going to be doing this every week now. This is going to be how we are releasing the podcast. We are going to be recording live and then releasing it on podcast platforms, and we'll also have the VOD up on YouTube as well. If you want to pay us for what we do, you can, subscribe via Twitch or whatever else you want to do. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/gamesline, where if you subscribe to that, you get our anime podcast, Unlimited Railworks, a week early. And right now that's it, but we're going to be trying to figure out more stuff for that. If you want to hang out with us, you can go to our Discord server. I'm going to type that into the chat. And then you can also follow it if you're listening via audio or the like, which is just thegamezone.zone. Type that into your web browser and it'll bring you straight there. And thank you for our theme song, Melt Channel. Our theme song is Crush off of the album Magic is Real by Melt Channel, also known as Magic Circuit. If you want to listen to their stuff, it's meltchannel.bandcamp.com or magic-circuit.bandcamp.com. And I would recommend that you purchase their music on the first Friday of every month, because that's Bandcamp Friday, and they will get all of it. All the money. All the money. All right. So let's see here. Crystal, where can people find you online if they so choose?
Arcane Crystal, the bsky.social. I guess you can also find me at Arcane Crystal on Backlogged if you want some short form, informal game reviewing. All of their podcasts at audioentropy.com.
How about you, Jackson? What you got?
What's up? You can find me Twitch, Twitter, Lumberjackson. Blue Sky is funnymonkey.online. Somehow landed that
This is really
one.
good.
And if you want an alternative link for the Twitch, it's monkeythrows.rocks. So if you want to find me on there, I'm streaming often. I'm posting on YouTube often. I was a streamer before jumping on Gamesline, streamer when I started getting into Gamesline, and now I'm still a streamer when I'm writing for Gamesline. So
There you go.
Gonna be doing that for a while, so you can find me there.
Cool. Nikolas, is there anywhere you want to point people towards?
Blue Sky. It's psychos.bluesky.social.
Mhm.
Bro, I can't get a
Okay.
A lot of drawings.
like there's no regular shot.
Not much else.
I'm sure that people
There's
will
some 3D
enjoy that.
models and talking about it.
All right. Good to know.
Good.
Good to know.
I'm also Twitter, but I don't actually.
Lilith, how about yourself? Where can people find you?
You can find me at Gamesline, of course. But if you wanted to see the other version of me, it is Galulus at Blue Sky. Other than that, I don't exist online. I'm busy writing.
Fair enough. And then, yeah, I'm mostly using Blue Sky myself. That is john.gamesline.net. You can find me there. And, yeah, I mean, Gamesline's my baby. So this is where you can find a lot of the stuff that I do, because it's mine. It's mine. No, it's all of us. It's all of ours. And we're all contributing to it. We're all very happy. We're very happy to have had you all in the chat talking it up while we were recording. And we're very happy to everyone listening to the recording later or watching the VOD. And we're going to keep this going. We're going to keep this train going. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Lorelei, for sticking around and doing our production in the background. And thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Gamesline podcast. Thanks so much, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone. I'm with you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Bye, buddies. Bye, bye. You can't see, but I'm waving my hand.
I'm with you every time you decide to use semicolon.
Okay, are we off? Lorelei, are we off? We're off. All right. Woo! That was a
No.
lot, but that was good. Okay, yeah, no, I have to stop.
Ending my recording right here. I'm sorry, Lorelei. There's so much dead air on mine, and you can hear me coughing when I mute my mic.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Jeez.
Okay.
Welcome. We're playing
Well, now I'm worried about my recording because I think I was pretty
33
light the whole
on
time.
expert